just coming out of Mitchell's Plain in Cape Town. The M7, Jake Scoville Drive running free at Samora Michelle. No major roadwork disruptions at this hour. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
It's coming up to 8 minutes after 6. Good morning to you. It's Friday, the 25th of July, 2025. Good morning. Live and direct from Radio Park Building here at SABC HQ to wherever you're hearing us from this morning in every town, city, dorpi, kasi, village and hamlet. From the highways to the byways, from the hinterland to the heartland, we are SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Among some of what we will tell you in today's edition of the Morning Brief. A major security lapse occurred recently at the country's busiest airport, that is OR Tambo International Airport. But for some reason, it appears, at least to me, that there's an attempt to downplay its seriousness by various role players that are involved. A passenger traveling on Ethiopian Airlines was able to board a flight while carrying 2 training hand grenades. Training grenades, not grenades, training grenades. But hear where I'm going with this. They were not detected until a hold baggage search was conducted upon arrival at the Bole International Airport in Addis Ababa. Now, needless to say, the fact that these were not detected upon the passengers boarding at OR Tambo International is hugely problematic, at least to me. I don't know what your feeling is, but to me it seems to be quite problematic. It means that even if they were actual grenades, they would not have been detected. The response from the airport's company, South Africa, has included pinning the blame for the lapse on a company called Aviation Coordination Services, which is said to have been responsible for baggage screening in the relevant area of the airport where this lapse occurred, but whose contract, we are now told by AXA that the decision has been taken to terminate that contract. Not clear at this stage. I mean, I was reading and trying to, get a fuller sense of whether that decision has been implemented. Decision was taken. That's what the statement says from AXA. But has it been implemented? Has this company's contract been terminated? So, but I do think that it is quite serious. I was reading through the list of prohibited items in terms of aviation. Unless I missed it, I did not see training grenades, but obviously grenades are prohibited. And these training grenades, I was reading up on them, they are used in training, as the name suggests, to train people on how to handle actual grenades. So you can imagine they do look like grenades and they have all of the characteristics. The fact that it wasn't picked up until it got to Bole International Airport in Addis and Ethiopian Airlines then notified AXA, I think that is hugely problematic. You can weigh in on that, but we will have a conversation with the Transport Portfolio Committee member, Rise Mzansi's Makashule Ghana, who will weigh in on this. We want to keep this conversation alive, even if AXA are not willing. It was a lapse. Several political storms sweeping through KwaZulu-Natal this week. At least 2 MECs facing allegations of impropriety of one kind or another. Siphohlo Muga over at Education is facing allegations related to a tender for the National School Nutrition Program, with the direct allegation actually being made that at least 1 or 2 of those tenders were awarded either to his family members or comrades of his. I suspect his recent media interview where he confirmed having registered a company that may or may not have been awarded a tender. He was non-committal on that particular aspect. Won't help his case much. So the scrutiny, heightening around him. At the same time, Nomagugu Simelane at the Department of Health faces allegations that she cornered a regional radio station, Vuma FM, to fire anti-illegal migration activist Jacinta Ngobese Zuma, an allegation that she has vehemently denied and which the station has said has no basis. So at about 7:20, Premier Tamintuli will join me and talk about the accountability measures being put in place by him, as well as any consequence management where that is deemed to be warranted. But we'll also have a conversation with Jacinta Ngobese Zuma coming up at about 7:15 this morning, as well as the provincial ANC to respond to that immediately after that conversation with Jacinta Ngobese Zuma. If we don't want them, someone else does. I'm talking, of course, about the doctors and nurses that our education system churns out yearly, but whose employment in the public sector has proven to be less than certain, quite dicey, actually, in recent years amid budget cuts. Now, new data reveals the extent of the resultant brain drain from the health sector. More than 71,000 doctors and nurses lost to our public healthcare system. More than 71,000 doctors and nurses lost to our public healthcare system in the past 12 years, with an average of 5,900 resignations annually. A sizable chunk of them are leaving for countries such as the UK and Australia. In fact, we can put a number on that particular aspect, about 23,400. So what's fueling this brain drain, and what can or is being done to stem the tide? At about 7:50 this morning, I'll be speaking to Dr. Luvuyo Bayeni, who is Chief Director for Human Resources at the Department of Health. Morning Brief team, to your stations, please, for the takeoff. And Musa with your news updates. Rob Byrne is watching your traffic. Zaikan is taking care of your sport. And Melissa Puta has your morning brief in brief coming up shortly. Dauleng Lechela with your business economics and market updates, as well as Mo Africa. Sepo Mandula with your Africa update at around 7:20. You can weigh in on these and other matters by giving me a call on 086 000 2032. You can also send me a WhatsApp voice note on 061 410 4107. So what are we waiting for? Let's get the Friday edition of the Morning Brief underway.
Hear the rhythm, feel the heat at the Imbaula Music Festival in partnership with SAFM, where music, culture and community come alive. Join us on the 2nd of August 2025 at Pretoria Botanical Gardens from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. to vibe to Sanal musician Calvin Momo, Amanda Black, Zingumalo, Trompis, and many more. More than just music. Share stories, spark change, and unite against gender-based violence. Grab your tickets at imbaula.co.za. Brought to you by SAFM and SABC1. Hear the rhythm, feel the heat. Imbaula. Big stories of the day. Hashtag the morning brief.
Yeah, let's get started with the morning briefing session with Melissa Puta, who's got your morning brief in brief. Good morning to you, Melissa. So, Gupta compound was meant to go under the hammer. It didn't go so well, did it, in Saxonwold?
Not well at all. Good morning, Thulasizwe. Only one of three Gupta-linked properties sold at a public auction on Thursday, reflecting the stigma surrounding assets tied to controversial family. A modest staff residence at 3 Saxonwold Drive sold for 3.35 million rand, while two luxury homes valued at 21 million and 36 million rand failed to attract competitive bids. High municipal rates, poor conditions, and the property's controversial history were cited as deterrents. Auctioneers plan to shift the private tender sales, anticipating a quieter but more strategic approach to offload the remaining properties as part of a broader business rescue process.
It will be interesting to see who snaps up the remaining two properties, because it was a compound, as we say. It was more than one property adjoining or next to each other that comprised what once was Gupta HQ in Saxonwold. Talk to me about the Patriotic Alliance and the local politics in the city of Joburg. Kenny Gunene his role as MMC right now on suspension, on pause. What is the PA saying about filling that role?
So the PA is pushing for one of its own councillors to replace the suspended Kenny Kunene as Joburg's MMC for transport. Kunene, as we know, was suspended for 30 days after being found at the home of Katiso KT Molefe, who is linked to the alleged murder of DJ Somebody. An internal investigation is currently underway. While other parties are eyeing the opposition, the PA insists it should remain within the party. Ward Councillor Dwayne Ponsobi is the likely candidate, according to insiders. A final decision from Mayor Dada Morero is expected to be announced soon. So this will be interesting to see how what direction it goes in, rather.
Yeah, absolutely. Lastly, as far as the health sector is concerned, we've been hearing from the Minister, Aaron Motsoaledi, talking about a TB vaccine.
Yes, so Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi says a TB vaccine for adults and adolescents could be available within a few years if current clinical trials succeed. Speaking at a national workshop in Sandton hosted with the WHO, he called the potential vaccine a groundbreaking innovation that could transform TB prevention. Motsoaledi highlighted the need for strong systems, investment, and public trust to support rollout. He compared the vaccine's impact to freedom from the slavery of TB-related poverty and loss, noting that the COVID-19 pandemic showed what's possible when urgency meets preparation. So this will be interesting to see once it's ready for rollout.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's Melissa Puta with the Morning Brief in brief this morning.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
19 minutes after 6. Let's give you your weather now for this Friday. Just one warning coming through from the South African Weather Service. It's a yellow level 2 warning, and it says damaging waves leading to difficulty in navigation, localized disruption of harbors or ports, and localized disruptions to beachfront activities. Those conditions are expected in the south of Durban from the afternoon, subsiding by Saturday around midnight. The rest of your weather looks like this. Pretoria will be partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers with a minimum of 8 and a maximum of 22. Johannesburg, partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 7 to 21. Mbombela, partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 9 to 24. Polokwane, partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 5 to 21. Same conditions in Mahikeng with a minimum of 6 and a maximum of 22, and the same conditions will prevail in Bloemfontein with a minimum of 8 and a maximum of 19. And Kimberley, exactly the same conditions with a minimum of 8 and a maximum of 19. Uppington will be partly cloudy with a minimum of 8 and a maximum of 20. Cape Town will be cloudy with light rain in the morning with a minimum of 12 and a maximum of 15. George, cloudy with light rain in the morning, 10 to 13. Gqeberha will be cloudy with isolated showers and rain with a minimum of 13 and a maximum of 17. East London will be cloudy with isolated showers and rain, 13 to 18. Durban, partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers with a minimum of 14 and a maximum of 22. Richards Bay will be partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 13 to 24. And lastly, Pietermaritzburg, exactly the same conditions. Partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 7 to 21.
The Super Falcons are close to making Mission X a reality. But 2022 finalists, the Atlas Lionesses, are back in the final. This time around, they want nothing but gold on home soil. This is the Total Energies Women's Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2024. Catch the spectacular final between Nigeria and Morocco this Saturday, 26 July at 7:30 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus, SABC3, and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Where Africa competes, South Africa connects. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Worldview Update, bringing you closer to international or global news.
Yeah, another flashpoint of conflict somewhere in the world. In fact, this time around, long-standing tensions between Thailand and Cambodia erupting into deadly cross-border fighting, with at least 12 Thai nationals killed and thousands more evacuated. The violence, rooted in a century-old territorial dispute, flared up on Thursday when both countries accused each other of triggering a military confrontation involving drones, rockets, artillery, and airstrikes. With rising casualties and diplomatic ties deteriorating, fears are growing of further escalation. Let's speak to Dr. Sonia Teron, who is a lecturer in the Security Studies Department, at the University of Pretoria's Department of Political Sciences. Doc, good morning and thank you for your time. What's our understanding of this escalation and this conflict? Just a month ago or so, we were talking about the conversation between the Thai Prime Minister and the leader of Cambodia, which did not sit well with Thai residents. But I never could have imagined that it would escalate as it has done. Not saying that it's linked to that conversation, but that's part of the context. What do we know about relationships between the relationship between these two countries and how we got to this point?
Yes. So as you say, actually, there is that is very important context. The phone call between the Prime Minister of Thailand and of Cambodia, which has been used to actually suspend the Thai Prime Minister because it was seen to be critical of the military. The reason that is important is because while tensions between Cambodia and Thailand have over the years, as you say, it's a century-long conflict. It's surrounded in this particular case around a temple, revered temple that has a lot of symbolic value. The tensions are very much driven by what is happening domestically within these countries, in the sense that this is really used as a political flashpoint to gain support or to criticize opponents in the political sphere. So in Cambodia, it's used as a symbol of nationalism to rally behind the one-party state, the ruling party there, which dominates politics. In Thailand, we're seeing a situation where there's a lot of tension between your royalist military side and your populist side. So while these two countries have certainly always had tensions that flare up every once in a while this can sometimes spill over into military confrontation, most of this is actually driven by domestic politics within these countries and the messaging for the domestic population.
So the domestic political factors at play, Doc, as you say, but the extent of the border itself is not really helpful, is it? And the history of the two nations. About 800 kilometers is that border, with a number of territories along that 800-kilometer stretch that are in dispute.
Absolutely. And and anytime there is that level of dispute, it can flare up at any point in time. In this case, we know that, technically that the temple has been declared to be part of Cambodia, but there's a lot of uncertainty around the land surrounding it. And if you take it into even a broader context, globally at the moment, we are seeing a lot of uncertainty, a lot of change in the global system. With change comes uncertainty. With uncertainty comes fear. With fear comes a lot, some decisions that are sometimes unexpected. So while this is not an unusual exchange between Cambodia and Thailand, it certainly is one of the more serious we've seen. We would expect that things are likely to de-escalate, but as you say, there are lots of disputes that could lead to further escalation moving forward.
So how do we see this playing itself going forward? Because it appears to me, Doc, that it's playing itself out not only at the military level right now, but also diplomatically in light of that conversation that we were talking about, in which the Thai Prime Minister was heard in a recording calling the Cambodian leader uncle and criticizing, as you say, the leadership of Thailand's military. But there are also now trade issues with imports being banned between the two countries. Is this one of those that will always be there, or is there a path out that can lead to a settlement of some of these disputes?
Yes, so in the short term, we see ASEAN, the regional organization, and the Malaysian Prime Minister, who is chair, indicating that they are ready to negotiate, even indicating that Thailand and Cambodia have signaled that they're ready to negotiate. So if we follow previous pattern, there would likely be a negotiation occur and some form of de-escalation. Now, that is in the short term. In the long term, these border disputes, for this not to escalate again in another 5-10 years, there would need to be a permanent solution found to these border disputes. That is a very complicated process, particularly in this case, because you're dealing with something with immense symbolic value that if either leadership in either country concedes, could have serious domestic costs in terms of legitimacy for them.
All right. Thank you for your time and your insights there. That's Dr. Sonia Teron, who is a lecturer in security studies at the University of Pretoria's Department of Political Sciences.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
All right, Zai, so we didn't get first prize, but we are hoping that we can get third prize, right?
Yes. We may be playing for third, right?
Yes.
But at least we know that these ladies will
Some
always
kind of
be
consolation.
Yeah, and they'll always be first class to us.
Solatium.
That's Banyana for you. And we've got their star, Jermaine Seposenwe, says it will be a good consolation to return home with a bronze medal. They face Ghana, that's in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations 3rd and 4th place playoff tonight at 9 p.m. And the forward announcing that she will also be hanging up her boots after this year's WAFCON and will be playing her final match in a Banyana jersey.
I just want to thank everyone that has had an opportunity to just pour into me, into the player that I've become today and the person that I've become because of football, because it has really shaped my life for the better, and I'm so grateful for everything that it's brought me.
Let's go to women's rugby, and it's coach, looking at Piwe Nklomo, expecting a battle at Cape Town Stadium against All Foes Western Province. Now, we've got also exciting things happening with the newly appointed Vodacom Bulls coach. Johan Ackerman says he's under no illusions about the size of the challenge ahead as he takes over the reins of South Africa's top-performing URC team. Ackerman was officially unveiled at Loftus Versfeld, addressing the media for the first time since replacing the 2007 Rugby World Cup winning coach Jake White.
There's no illusion of the massive task that lies ahead, to take a team that has been forming not just the last 4 years, but been, champions in Super Rugby, etc. before. So for me, that's, my task to make sure that we get the team to perform as quickly as we can. So, I can only be myself and do the things that I believe in, and then hopefully that will be good enough to get the team where they need to be.
And finally, athletics. Bayanda Walaza claiming the sprint double at the World Student Games in Germany. He lifted the 200-meter crown to add to his 100-meter title he won earlier in the week. His performance concluded quite the night for track and field for Team South Africa. Aidan Smith snatched the shot put gold with his final throw of the competition. And the mixed 4x400-meter relay team, they got silver ahead of the US, clocking 3 minutes, 16.42 seconds as they just ended behind Poland. We'll sprint back. Top of the hour, I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, Gauteng police say the 5 suspected cash-in-transit robbers shot dead during a shootout with police in Crown Mines in Johannesburg yesterday were wanted for other crimes committed in KwaZulu-Natal. Police in Gqeberha are investigating a case of murder after 4 men were shot dead while sitting in a vehicle in KwaZulu Township yesterday. And the trial of the former DRC President Joseph Kabila is expected to begin today. A military court will hear charges including treason and murder linked to his alleged support for Rwandan-backed M23 rebels. I'll have details on these and other stories at 7.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Down into the Western Cape we go with an update on this truck fire. It's on the N7. It's between Philadelphia and the Milkbox exit, so it's direction Cape Town. If you're on that commute, that you do that commute down from Malmesbury to Cape Town, it's quite a heavy backlog into that particular scene. That truck is well alight and likely to be a problem on that N7 South for some time. Gauteng looks all right, noticeably lighter. The Mike 1 is now starting to queue up from Boysons through to Parktown. That is by some distance the heaviest highway. There's also a queue on the top of the N1 getting up into Buccleuch from Rivonia Road. Looks like an issue on that ramp off the N1 North onto the N1 for a turn through to Midrand. Durban fairly busy this morning. Some queues out of Chatsworth on the Higginson Highway. A bit of pressure on the N2 linked to the M4. That's on the N2 Prospect and onto the Southern Freeway. So we'll just keep an eye on that one for you. Cliffdale looks clear. Ashburton, Pietermaritzburg looks fairly doable, although Durban bound coming out of Pietermaritzburg a touch on the slow side. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The business update on SAFM.
For the first update of the morning, let's turn to Ndauleng Lechela. Ndauleng, good morning to you. Let's start with you updating us with the decision on rates from the ECB. Is that the European Central Bank, yeah?
That's right, Thulas. And after a year of monetary policy easing, the ECB has adopted a wait-and-see approach, keeping rates on hold amid tariff uncertainty. Now, the ECB's interest rates influence monetary policy in the Eurozone, with the deposit facility rate determining the interest banks receive for overnight deposits. Now, this decision was expected and reflects uncertainty surrounding the EU-US trade talks. A potential trade agreement could lead to increased prices, that is, in the Eurozone, and the ECB wants to assess the implications before making further rate cuts. With inflation remaining close to 2%, the 2% target, the ECB is cautious about cutting rates too quickly. Now, analysts believe the ECB will wait to see the outcome of the trade talks before making its next move, given the uncertainty and potential impact on the economy.
And tell me about Intel and their plans to cut over 24,000 jobs. What's that about? I thought they were in this race around this AI boom, and I don't know. Why are they losing 24,000 jobs then?
The competition is eating their lunch. The likes of NVIDIA and AMD are just doing better than Intel, and we are seeing the group really trying to restructure, to streamline its operations, to cut costs and kind of boost their profits. The tech counter is undergoing restructuring under its new CEO, Lip Bhutan, in an effort to revive the company's fortunes. Now, the chip maker plans to reduce its workforce by 15% through job cuts and attrition, aiming to end the year with 75,000 core employees, down from 99,500 at the end of last year. As part of its cost-cutting measures, Intel will scrap previously planned projects in Germany and Poland and consolidate its assembly and test operations in Costa Rica to larger sites in Vietnam and Malaysia. The company will also slow down construction of a semiconductor plant in Ohio. Tan further stressed that Intel will focus on its core product portfolio and AI offerings, ensuring that every investment makes economic sense. The group has been struggling to actually just get a hold in the market as the likes of NVIDIA and AMD are dominating. Now, these efforts come alongside its second quarter earnings, where it beat Wall Street expectations on its top line, but the company still reported a net loss.
So how did we close yesterday, and how have we started the day in Asia?
So U.S. markets closing at record highs overnight, particularly the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. This following upbeat earnings from Google's parent company Alphabet. The tech-heavy NASDAQ gaining 0.18% overnight. Then coming back home, we are seeing a pullback in equity markets after the JSE hit an all-time high. The all share shedding 0.21% in yesterday's session. That's as gold and platinum prices trended lower, leading to a 1.7% decline in the Resources 10 complex. Some weakness also coming through on the currency front, with the rand at 17.65 to the dollar. Lastly, in Asia, trade mixed this morning as investors wait with bated breath for more trade deals to be signed as the 1st of August deadline fast approaches. That also weighing in on oil prices, but Brent holding firm just above $67 per barrel.
You know, Ntauleng, the more you fulfill your promises, the more the requests are going to come. You're a victim of your own diligence, okay? Just a reminder.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Just a reminder. One of our listeners asked you to check on economic growth and strong performance in Morocco. Yes. And yesterday there was a follow-up to say, how far with my request? Because we don't want to be like politicians and promise a better life for all. You and I are promise keepers.
We're promise keepers. I have sent the request through to an economist that deals with everything Africa. So I'm just waiting on him to get back to me. Then I'll report back.
Great stuff. That's Ntauleng Lechala there with the first update of the morning. She'll be back just after 7:30 with more insights for you.
Africa Update on SAFM.
Let's say good morning to Raz Sipomantula. Good morning to you, Raz. Let's start with this gathering of SADC liberation movements. What's that all about?
Refreshing morning, Thulas, and Jumbo Africa to the listeners. Thulas, there are many headlines on different newspapers. Others are saying the liberation movement will be sharing notes on politics, economy, and others are saying, what is this gathering for? Others are saying the embattled liberation movement are struggling for relevancy. Thulas, I don't think so. When one looks at a heavily loaded theme, defending the liberation gains, advancing integrated socio-economic development, strengthening solidarity for a better Africa. This is very important to us, considering that all along it has been Secretary Generals of this liberation movement from Zimbabwe, Namibia, Angola, Mozambique, and Tanzania. This time it appears the presidents of this liberation movement will be part of this summit to engage to, as you know, that the GNU has arrived in many other countries.
Yes.
Coalitions has arrived. Tanzania is going for the elections. Mozambique still struggling from the electoral violence of last year. Namibia still having a female president. Joao Lorenzo is still part of AU. And you look at Emerson Mnangagwa, still struggling whether he will go for the third term or Constantino Chiwenga will come back blazing. So these are the issues to us. But for me, I think the question is that others are saying liberation, it is a continuous process. It is never finalized. So it is important for constantly, as this liberation movement always deflect on their relevance.
Yeah, and of course they've been dislodged in one or two countries in the Southern African region in terms of their hold on power, Botswana being the latest one to be added to that list. Tell me about, you hardly ever hear the International Criminal Court and you immediately associated with a football federation leader. But that's exactly what has happened in Central African Republic, the conviction of this former head of the Football Federation.
That is quite true, Thulas. It's a long-standing case of 2013-2014. The leader of the Central African Republic Football Federation, Patrick Eduardo Ngaisona and Alfred Yakatoma, also known as Rambo. But this was a football person and an ex-militia commander, hence the name Rambo, Thulas. And these guys, they've committed serious crimes, Thulas, that Yakatoma, known as Rambo, was charged from 20 charges, was given 15 years. Ngaisona was given 12 years. This is a trial, Thulas, if you remember the time of Francois Bozize, during that time in the anti-Balaka militia that rose against the Christians in CAR. And that's where this case finally found the sunlight to us, and they've been charged and sentenced with those years that I've just mentioned. And there are still issues in terms of getting CAR in towards peace and reconciliation.
Sometimes it's in the nickname, right, Sipho? I mean, Rambo.
Yeah, Rambo.
You're called Rambo.
Yakatoma. You know, the man is called Yakatoma, but his name was Rambo. Yeah. And the other one, as you said, he was in football, but he has orchestrated the killing of the Muslim population in that country between 2013 and 2014.
So the president of Niger remains under some kind of detention since the military took over in 2023, and now Human Rights Watch is making some calls on that situation.
To us, we can say the former president Mohamed Bazoum is under house arrest in the presidential palace now for almost 2 years without trial. The Human Rights Watch has been calling since last year for the lifting of his immunity. They have went to the ECOWAS, to the UN. They've tried all the corridors to us in terms of the release of the former president. And you'll recall that since the military coup in 2023, he has been detained with his family. But now the Human Rights Watch is still calling that his arrest is arbitrary and a clear violation of the rule of law.
And lastly, take me to Kigali, where there's been some significant changes in terms of the leadership of the government there. Paul Kagame making some moves.
Reshuffling the Prime Minister Thulasizwe quickly appointing the governor, the National Bank of the governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, Justin Nsezigomumba, as the new Prime Minister Thulas, removing Ngerete Edward. And there is no clarity to us, but he says that the issue is that he has appointed the governor who will pledge and serve Rwanda with humility and dedication. The former Prime Minister who has been removed, Thulas, has been there since 2017. And others are saying since the independence of Rwanda, this is the 11th Prime Minister that has been appointment. The President did not give the reasons to us why he removes the previous Prime Minister. He just said that he has exercised his constitutional powers.
All right, let's see what happens next then in as far as the former Prime Minister's career is concerned in Rwanda. Lastly, your historical archive. Take me to the 25th of July, 1946.
To us, most of them only talk about Robert Nesta Marley, but you don't talk about the lioness and the wife of Robert Nesta Marley, Alpha Rita, Constantia Rita Marley, who was born in Cuba, by the way, to us. He was born on this day. Rita Marley was married to Robert Nesta Marley. They had 3 kids. And when you look at Rita Marley's legacy, it's 1079 today, to us. He has done a lot in Ghana, has done a lot in most of the countries in Africa. Thulas has been reaching out. Rita Marley, I know Ghana, I know at some point Zimbabwe and even South Africa, he wanted to invest a lot, Thulas, when you think of Rita Marley, who's 79 years today. But Fort Hare University, Thulas, 2017, they gave a second honorary doctorate degree, followed by University of Ghana. That also gave him in the University of West Indies, actually, to us in 2015, he was given honorary Doctor of Letters. But Ghana, 2013, they gave him an honorary citizen. So that's how Rita Marley is being honored to us. For our listeners, they can get this book of 2004, No Woman, No Cry, My Life with Bob Marley. The last one, Harambe for the holidays, vibrant holiday cooking with Rita Marley. I think they will learn some skills there to us of cooking from the Marley family, coming from Alpha Rita Anderson, Constantia Rita Marley. Asante sana Thulas, as was in the conversation, SFM observing the International Mandela Month and Rita Marley's birthday.
Thank you, Sipho. Beautiful, rich history there coming through from Sipho Mantula. Have yourself a fantastic weekend, Sipho.
SA Sport Awards reflect our collective nation-building spirit. Mzansi's sport heroes and heroines have shown resilience, persistence, passion, discipline, and world-class achievements in the sports fraternity. Nominees will be announced in August. Let us celebrate #IsInJustAGame. Catch the 18th Annual SA Sport Awards on Sunday, 24 August at 7:30 p.m. on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4, then on SABC 1 at 8 p.m. Brought to you by the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture in partnership with SASCOG and SABC Sport. Celebrating sporting excellence.
Thulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
14 minutes to 7. Outgoing Vuma FM presenter and outspoken anti-illegal migration activist Jacinta Ngobese Zuma is threatening legal action against the African National Congress in KwaZulu-Natal. She accuses the party of issuing a misleading and reputationally damaging statement against her. This follows the ANC's public defense of Health MEC Nomagugu Simelane, who's been accused of political interference in Ngobese Zuma's sudden exit from the Durban-based radio station, an accusation she has denied. Let's speak to Jacinta Ngobese Zuma, who joins me now on the line. Jacinta, good morning, and thank you for your time this morning. Which part of the ANC statement do you find problematic and, importantly, misleading and damaging to your reputation?
Good morning to the listeners. I think if you're going to issue a statement, it's public knowledge that the header of the statement is what will attract you to what the rest of the body of the statement is all about. So for myself to be used as bait for every other issue that's being addressed there that has nothing to do with me, it talks about all other matters that are being addressed, whereas whatever that they wanted to say about me is probably like 2 lines or so, is quite misleading. And yeah, I feel like I really was used as bait, and my name was dragged through that entire statement. The headline could have been something else and not my name.
But why not your name, though? Because the allegation was frontally made that the MEC, who is a member of the ANC, interfered in your contractual issue with Vuma FM.
Who made that allegation, Thulasizwe?
It wasn't you. You didn't say that. You said,
yes, exactly.
As far as you understood
exactly.
It was, yes, but the point.
So why would my name be there? Because if they're addressing the allegations made, then they should address who the allegations were made by, not me.
But the point that I'm making, Jacinta, is the ANC. So let me put it as a question to you. Do you blame the ANC for coming out and welcoming the clarification by Vuma FM that there was no external interference in the decision to not renew your contract? Because the allegation was made against a member of the ANC, not by you, granted, but it had been made.
But
it had been publicized that
yes, but
she was the one.
What I'm saying,
it had been publicized that she was the one who demanded that action be taken against you.
Thulasizwe, what I'm saying is really simple. Please don't complicate it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to use my name, use it where Jacinta applies. Don't use my name to address issues that the media should be used to address. If they wanted to address the media, they should address the media, not Jacinta. Because that is my name. I'm not the one that said anything. I haven't said anything about what is currently going on. And I would have expected for the ANC as a leader and a leading organization in the community to address the matter the way that it was handled. So the how they handled it is also as important in the messaging of what is going on, because now the way that it was addressed seeks to imply that I had something to do with it or I had something to say, because it's my name that's there. It's not the media or the people that wrote the article there, because unless I have said something, then you address me.
I get you. So in your thinking, then the ANC should not have invoked your name, should not have even mentioned your name in that media statement, despite media reports that directly linked the MEC to issues to do with you specifically.
They should not have mentioned my name unless they were addressing me or addressing something that I said.
I get you. So let's just touch a little bit then on the end of this contractual relationship between yourself and Vuma FM. Factually, were you dismissed, as in your contract that subsisted being terminated, or was your independent contractor contract not renewed when it came to an end, as Vuma is asserting?
I think I'll say what the letter that they gave me said, and the letter said terminated. I'll stick to that.
So the letter says
So
terminated.
you don't terminate. Yes, that's what it says.
So that would contradict what they're saying.
I'll stick to that for now.
Yeah.
I'll stick to that for now because, like Thulasizwe, for me, I am waiting for a response from the African National Congress to the letter that my lawyers have sent. So what I want to ideally do is wait for them to retract that statement that they wrote, because should they not, then I will be pushed into a corner to come out publicly about everything that has happened. And that's really not where I want to go, because I'm ideally trying to move from all of this and focus on the March and March, which is the most important thing at the moment. We've got a march happening in August, and that is my focus right now. So all I'm asking for is a retraction from the ANC where my name is involved. And if they were dealing with the media, they must deal with the media. They must not deal with Jacinta. So that is where I am. If my employer continues to say whatever they want to say, then I will be forced. All I'm asking is to not be provoked, to because I'm ideally trying to move from this whole situation and focus on the March and March.
So it sounds to me then that there's a lot more that you believe is at play here, because you're saying you shouldn't be provoked, because if you are provoked, you will be forced to say everything that has happened. What is this everything that has happened?
Everything is everything that I don't want to say, because like I said, I haven't given my side of the story because I do not want drama. I want to exit like a professional. I'm doing the last bit of shows that I have as per the agreements that we have at the moment. But I don't want to get into the nitty-gritties of who did what, when, how. Do you have evidence? Do you have proof, etc., etc.? But I do not like this provocative behavior that keeps going on, where people consistently keep dragging my name into this. And I have not said anything. I consistently keep on saying I'm a professional person. I respect my job. I have always respected my job. When it came to the March and March, my employer has always given me permission to do it. I have communicated with my employer before I even started on this. So I know for a fact if this March and March was an issue, I would have known. But now I don't want to keep feeling like I'm being pushed into a corner to say something. All I want to focus on, Thulasizwe, is the March and March right now, and making sure that I fulfill what I feel is what is right for South Africans, which is to fight against this crime that is happening in the country right now.
All right,
whether I'm employed or not is really irrespective of that right now.
All right, Jacinta, let's leave it there for this morning. That's Jacinta Ngobese Zuma, who is an activist and founder of the March and March movement.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Crash on the M1 South around Olifantsfontein Road. If you're coming out of Pretoria down through Centurion, you'll hit that wall of traffic from the old Joburg Road exit down towards Olifantsfontein. The N12 and R24 routes in from Ekurhuleni towards Galuli's a heavy queuing pressure on the N3 north at Spruitview. Today's big queues from Leondale up to Heidelberg Road, and a crash on the very busy Mike 1 North before Oxford Road. So extra queues coming through from Boysons via Crown, and behind that the M2 pushing back towards Joe Slovo Drive. Pietermaritzburg down to Durban, looking okay through Ashburton. There is a little bit of a hold up. No, there's not. I was going to say it's Key Ridge, but that's absolutely clear. No problems there. Commercial Highway from Mallandella Road, all backed up down towards the N2. Pretty heavy delays down through Duff's Road area this morning. The N2, some days it's busier than others. Coming out of Toti through Prospect, it's not too bad this morning. And Cape Town, the N2 into town, heavy from the airport side. There's a crash on the Mowbray Main Road off-ramp, and that's what's holding everything approaching that exit. So very heavy on the N2 inbound coming in from the airport and through Langa. Behind that, the M5 starting to push back towards Kenilworth. And a truck fire incident on the N7 between Philadelphia and Melkbos. If you're on your way in from Malmesbury, there is a queue of traffic waiting to get past that scene. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Big stories of the day. Hashtag the morning brief.
All right, 5 minutes to 7. Let's get you the other side of that story then. A few moments ago, we were in conversation with Jacinta Ngobese Zuma, talking about the developments and also her demand for the ANC to retract its statement, which she says casts her in a bad light. Let's speak to Fanele Sibisi, spokesperson of the African National Congress, who joins me now to take that conversation forward. So you heard the demand from Jacinta Ngobese that you should not be invoking her name if you are seeking to address issues around Nomagugu Simelane, because she says she never mentioned the name Nomagugu Simelane in the reasons why her contract was terminated or not renewed. What's your response?
Thank you. Greetings to you, Thulasizwe, and the listeners at home. One, we should say that the ANC, as the caring organization, really can't celebrate anybody losing his or her job, and we just want to be clear with that. And second to that is that we have no intention of entering into an employer-employee relationship issues. But just to respond to your question, maybe I should start by acknowledging the fact that we have, as the ANC, received a letter of demand from the Zuma and partners attorneys regarding this matter. Of course, we will have to process the letter internally as the organization. We want to treat this matter as a matter that is starts with the care. As you have also listened to Umama Ngobese Zuma articulating her position. And in her position, she is saying that she is not happy with the provocation. And I don't want us to be seen as people who are consistently provoking her. We will allow a process where our internal processes will process the letter. Upon us finalizing it, we'll issue a formal statement on the matter. There are many avenues that we're trying to ensure that we deal with this matter, and we deal with this matter amicably. But the ANC has no intention of fighting anybody on this matter. We were only trying to clarify the issue that the name of Comrade Nomagugu Simelane Zulu as the MEC for Health, who happens to be the fundraiser of the organization.
So from what I heard, though, Fanele, from what I heard, though, Fanele, from my conversation with her, her demand is very simple. The main issue, from what I picked up, she takes issue with you mentioning her name in the heading of your statement. So let me read for the context of our listeners. Your heading says, ANC KZN welcomes Vuma FM pronouncement on the Ngobese Zuma contract and cautions against public lynching of its leaders. That's the heading. So she's adamant that she never suggested in her putting out the version of why she's being let go that Nomagugu Simelane was involved in that. So why mention her name in the heading when in the content you only mention her in passing? That is the essence. I don't think it's complicated at all in terms of her gripe.
No, it is complicated because we are sitting with the letter from the attorneys, and it's a legal matter, therefore it should be addressed legally. But I am adamant that the ANC will not have a problem in retracting that statement. But we must retract it in context when we retract it. And that's why I'm saying we are working on the letter of demand, and we are going to respond to it accordingly.
Okay, lastly, factually, are you satisfied? There's been an explanation that says Nomagugu Simelane, and it came from her department, that she did not demand that action be taken by Vuma against Jacinta Ngobese Zuma. Are you satisfied with that explanation? Where did this whole belief that this incident occurred, her marching on, well, as a manner of speaking, basically approaching management or whomever at Vuma FM and saying, I'm unhappy with this. Is this an incident that absolutely did not occur? And if it didn't, why are you not taking action against those media houses that reported that it did happen?
That's why I'm saying we have subjected the matter to the legal process, one. But two, in the question you're asking, we from where we are seated, the facts that have been presented to us as the ANC, as you look at the statement of Vuma and the statement by Comrade Nomagugu Simelane Zulu, those are the facts that suggest that it did not happen. But if it happened, we are willing to listen to that and to see that particular evidence, and our approach is going to be different, of course, because there is no member of the ANC who must strive on ensuring that somebody lose his or her job.
So
it can't be that we are going to speculate like social media to say this is right or wrong. That's why we had to respond after Vuma has communicated, after Nomagugu has communicated.
All right, got you. Thank you for that. That's Fanele Sibisi, who is spokesperson of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal. Let's go to N Musa with the latest news.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Time to switch and save. Call 08600 60,000 today.
In our top stories, cash in transit suspects killed linked to other crimes and partner found guilty of murdering celebrity pastry chef Litlape. Good morning. Gauteng police say 5 suspected cash-in-transit robbers shot dead during a shootout with police in Crown Mines in Johannesburg yesterday were wanted for other crimes committed in KwaZulu-Natal. Gauteng Police Commissioner Tommy Mtombeni says the vehicle the suspects were using matched one used in previous crimes in KwaZulu-Natal.
Based on the vehicle, you can see the vehicle which they were driving in there. This vehicle have been linked with the previous crime scene, as I've indicated in Kingsley in KwaZulu-Natal. On the 14th, there was attempted murder and cash in transit heist, the G4S. And this vehicle is the same vehicle which have been seen on that other crime scene.
Police in Gqeberha are investigating a case of murder after 4 men were shot dead while sitting in a vehicle in KwaZekele Township yesterday. Police spokesperson Andre Pietria says the identities of the victims and the motive are under investigation.
SAPS New Brighton was alerted to a shooting incident at this address, and police attending to the scene discovered the bodies of 4 males seated in a silver Toyota Corolla. A murder case of 4 counts have been opened by the police in New Brighton and being investigated by the Eastern Cape Provincial Serious Violent Crime Investigation Unit. Any person with information that can assist police with this investigation can contact the Serious Violent Crime Investigation Detectives, Lieutenant Colonel Sitole.
The man accused of the 2024 murder of celebrity pastry chef Tembekile Litlape has been found guilty in the Johannesburg High Court. Sibusiso Zita pleaded guilty to killing his partner by stabbing her multiple times during an argument in front of their then 10-year-old daughter at their apartment in Four Ways in Johannesburg. The case has been postponed to the 28th of August for pre-sentencing proceedings. The NPA Gauteng spokesperson Pindim Jonondwane.
We welcome the plea of guilty as it signals the willingness by the accused to take full responsibility for his actions. We are confident as the NPA that the court, after hearing arguments from both the state and the defense, will be in a position to impose a just sentence.
Limpopo EFF chairperson Lawrence Mapulo has called on government to dissolve the Polokwane local municipality and for the president to authorize the SIU to probe allegations of corruption. This after the DA alleged that over 750 million rand was irregularly paid to companies whose owners have close relations with the mayor and municipal manager. He says law enforcement agencies must be brought in to investigate the allegations.
All these things that are raised are real, are happening. The only solution, we need Section C of 139 of our Constitution so that they can dissolve this municipality. The section entails that the MEC must dissolve this municipality. The problems in this municipality really are unmeasurable. We hope the Hawks and the Special, we need the president to sign a proclamation to make sure that there's a special investigation unit comes into the picture.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has responded to the US push for sanctions on South Africa. He says the decision by the US Congress Committee on Foreign Affairs to approve the bill still has to go through the process before it can become law. The US House Committee on Foreign Affairs passed a bill tabled by Republican Ronnie Jackson in April. It calls for a full review of U.S. relations with South Africa. The U.S.-South Africa Bilateral Relations Review Act of 2025 bill also seeks to identify South African government officials and ANC leaders eligible for sanctions. Ramaphosa says South Africa will continue to engage the U.S.
We've heard about what has happened in a House committee, and that whole process still has a long way to go, and discussions will be ongoing, and we don't know exactly what is driving all this, and our bilateral dealings and engagements with the United States will continue.
And finally, the trial of the former DRC President Joseph Kabila is expected to begin in Kinshasa today. He's not expected to be present. A military court will hear charges including treason and murder linked to his alleged support for Rwandan-backed M23 rebels. Recapping the top story, Gauteng police say 5 suspected cash-in-transit robbers shot dead during a shootout with police in Crown Mines in Johannesburg yesterday were wanted for other crimes committed in KwaZulu-Natal. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Visit outsurance.co.za today. You always get something else.
Outsurance made it possible for us to travel more with the money that we save. 725. This is really real.
You are the biggest saver we've ever had.
2,794 Rand a month. It was the easiest switch ever. Get real.
How is it that Outsurance provided the solution for you?
918 Rand is what I'm saving.
Incredible.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
It's a very good morning to you in your SFM Sports Headlines. Cricket action. The Proteas will face New Zealand in the final of the T20 Tri-Series in Harare. That's tomorrow. And tonight, Banyana are not done yet. Coach Desiree Ellis says the team is fighting for more than bronze. We'll find out more just before 7:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning in Pretoria. Crash on the M1 South between Montana and Stormful. The M1 South under pressure as you come off Sefako Makato and join the highway down towards that crash in. Another collision, N1 South at Olifantsfontein. Delays coming through from Centurion's Old Joburg Road exit. And a crash on the Mike 1 running north this morning up in Parktown by Oxford Road. So heavy getting through the Crown. The Mike 1 north and the M2 westbound very slow. Also big backlogs passing Spruitview. The N3 up towards Heidelberg Road under quite a bit of pressure. Durban side today, the N2 not too bad. Toti through Prospector. The N2 further up between the M7 and Westwood Malls queuing. There's pressure on the M13 leaving Hillcrest, heading through sort of Gillets and Maytime on your way to Kloof. That is very slow going. And Cape Town, a crash on the N2 inbound at Mowbray Main Road off-ramp. That involves a truck. That's pushing the N2 right back as far as Robert Sabukwe. That's a heavy run in. And the N7 jamming this morning from the N7. Very slow passing Lunga up in towards the work zone at Epping. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
9 minutes after 7 on this Friday. It is great to be in your company. We're into the second hour of the Morning Brief here on SAFM 104 to 107. Here's what's coming up within this half hour very quickly. I'll be in conversation with Makashule Gana, who is a member of the Transport Portfolio Committee in Parliament on behalf of Rise Mzansi, and we'll be talking about what I consider, I don't know, you may differ with me, maybe I'm being dramatic, but a major security lapse that occurred recently at the country's busiest airport, that is the OR Tambo International Airport, which involved a passenger traveling on Ethiopian Airlines being able to board a flight while carrying 2 training hand grenades, which were only detected upon arrival, and the baggage search being done at the Bole International Airport in Addis Ababa. In fact, even AXA itself, the airport's company, South Africa, acknowledges that this was a lapse. So Maybe I'm not being dramatic. I don't know. So we'll be talking to Makashule Kana in the next few minutes about what is to be done going forward. AXA tells us that the contract, the decision to terminate the contract of this particular company that was responsible for that area where this lapse occurred, a company called Aviation Coordination Services, that decision has been taken. Has it been implemented? We don't know. It would seem it has, but, let's see as and when AXA decides that they will come through with a bit more detail. So my conversation with Makashule Kana coming up in the next few minutes. Then I'll be in conversation with Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Tamintuli, and we'll be talking about the issues, some of which have really come up in the last few minutes in my conversation with the ANC in KZN, as well as Jacinta Ngobese Zuma about MEC Nomagugu Simelane, but also the other that has to do with MEC Sipho Hlomuga, both of them facing various accusations, and the Premier has asked them to write to him to explain their side of the story, and the Premier will join me and have a conversation with me about that particular process. The number to dial is 086 000 2032. I'm available on WhatsApp, and that is 061 410 4107. All right, so what are we waiting for? Let's get the second hour of the morning brief started.
I work at Optima College. We offer distance learning solutions.
How is it that OUTsurance provided the solution for you?
918 Rand is what I'm saving.
Incredible.
Yeah.
You're helping people to do better, and OUTsurance is doing better for you.
Definitely. If OUTsurance will not be able to beat your current premiums, remember there's that 500 Rand that you could get.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Tell me, what brings you and OUTsurance together?
You know, Jacques, I've been battling to get a nice car insurance, man. Someone that can give you nice service. Whenever you call them, they're there for you. You know, OUTsurance, I found them. I'm saving a cool $360.
Why put yourself through the pain? Be like Jermaine.
Yes, be like Jermaine and sign up with OUTsurance.
Get the real deal with the real savings.
Yes, there we go. I made the right move.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and information online.
Chasing the Sun is a 5-part South African sport documentary series. An inspiring story of the 4-time World Rugby champions, the Springboks. The journey of winning the Rugby World Cup, a behind-the-scenes look of how the green and gold team overcame adversity, divisions, and doubt to become world champs. Be there when history shines. Tune into SABC2 on Sundays at 7:30 p.m. from 13 July to 10 August. Also available anytime, anywhere on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Spar brings you 3 days of even more from 25 to 27 July. Get 800-gram Nescafe Recoffee Value Refill. Buy 2 for 200. Save 100 Rand. Or 1 litre Parmalat Everfresh Long Life Milk. 6-pack. Buy any 2 for 170. Save 60 Rand. It's 3 days of even more. 25 to 27 July. Only at Spar. While stocks last.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
So a major security lapse occurring recently at the country's busiest airport, but for some reason it would appear that it's being downplayed, at least its impact is being downplayed by the role players involved. A passenger traveling on Ethiopian Airlines was able to board a flight while carrying 2 training hand grenades, which were not detected until a hold baggage search was conducted upon arrival at the Bole International Airport in Addis Ababa. Now, needless to say, the fact that these were not detected upon the passengers boarding at OR Tambo is hugely problematic. It means that even if they were actual grenades, they would not have been detected. The response from the airport's company, South Africa, has included pinning the blame for the lapse on a company called Aviation Coordination Services, which is said to have been responsible for baggage screening in the relevant area of the airport, but whose contract, we are told, AXA has decided to terminate. Not clear at this point, as I've been saying, whether that decision has been followed through and implemented. Makashule Kana is a member of the Transport Portfolio Committee representing Rise Mzansi and joins me now. Good morning to you, Makashule, and thank you for your time. I don't know, maybe I'm being dramatic. Was this incident as serious as I think it was?
Good morning, Thulasizwe. It is a serious breach, very serious breach, because it speaks to the overall baggage handling at the OR Tambo. As you know, it's not only in this particular instance that the way baggage is being handled at OR Tambo has raised concerns, even issues of tampering with passenger baggage. It's one of those issues that even as a Transport Portfolio Committee, when we did an oversight at OR Tambo, we raised because it's not only in this particular instance, but it also speaks to the ongoing dispute between ACS and AXA insofar as who's supposed to be the legitimate in terms of handling the baggage and the screening. But what we want to see from ourselves, and this is what we had expressed when we visited AXA, is that there has to be enhanced security, more so because OR Tambo remains the busiest airport. And it's a concern. I must say, when I read the media statement from AXA, it does not give comfort. I must say that even the way it starts, it cannot start by saying that you are noting the media reports. It's not media reports. You have been alerted by Ethiopian Airlines when they picked up this particular issue. And they've tried they've used a lot of words to say very little. I must say, they've used a lot of words to say very little.
Yeah. So what's going to be your response then? You serve on the Transport Portfolio Committee, and AXA is one of those agencies, organs of state that, through the Department of Transport accounts to your committee.
So what I will do is to then ask the chairperson, Honorable Simelane, to then, in this particular instance, we don't need to invite AXA to come to Parliament. We need to go to OR Tambo again so that we go through this. Because if you remember, Thulasizwe, in the last week, the head of security at AXA was suspended. Just in the recent weeks, and this is one of the issues. Even when I was speaking in Parliament on Wednesday, I said to the Minister of Transport that if there's one thing that needs to be strengthened in the transport sector, is the agency oversight, because we have issues with AXA, we have issues with ATNS. We have issues with RAF, we've got issues with RTMC.
Makashule? All right, we seem to have lost Makashule Kana there as he was wrapping up the point he was making about oversight. I don't know what happened. We just lost him completely from the line. But I think we got enough out of that conversation. Makashule Kana is a member of the Transport Portfolio Committee in Parliament representing Rise Mzansi.
Keeping your family healthy this winter can feel like a daunting task. Try the Lung Shield range. It includes capsules to support healthy lungs and immunity, a syrup for kids that supports the immune system and promotes lung health, and an effervescent with 13 essential ingredients to optimize immune function. Put your family's health first this winter with the Lung Shield range. Available without a prescription at leading pharmacies. Lung Shield, prescribed by doctors, recommended by pharmacists.
From the shows that bring us laughter to the moments that inspire us, your SABC TV license makes it all possible. Every license paid supports local stories, top talent, and the programs that unite South Africa. Pay your TV license today. Visit tvlic.co.za or your nearest retail outlet. Hashtag your screen, your story. Together, we make it happen.
Breaking news. SARS has enhanced the personal income tax return form. It has simpler questions that adapt to your income and deductions based on your answers. Whether you're employed or self-employed, the digital form has built-in guidance and the option to save and finish later. Tax matters, so does your time. File with ease on e-filing or the SARS Mobi app today. Go to sars.gov.za. SARS, at your service.
Mzansi, be in it to win it. The Powerball jackpot guaranteed at 92 million rand is up for grabs this Friday. This is your chance at a life-changing 92 million rand jackpot. Don't delay. Play Powerball today and you could win big. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120*7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. eTuba is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
Big stories of the day. Hashtag the morning brief.
All right, let's turn to this now at 21 minutes after 7. Pressure is mounting on KwaZulu-Natal Premier Ntuli to act decisively after serious allegations emerged against two members of his provincial cabinet, that is the Health MEC Nomagugu Simelane and Education MEC Sipho Hlomuga. Accusations range from political interference and abuse of power to corruption in the multi-billion rand National School Nutrition Program, NSNP. Action SA and the Democratic Alliance have called for investigations, while Ntuli has now formally demanded written explanations from both MECs. Let's speak to the Premier now. Premier Ntuli joins me now on the line to take that conversation forward. Premier, good morning. Just overall, your impressions of the gravity and seriousness of these allegations involving, as they do, these two MECs. What have you made of the allegations?
Well, good morning to yourself and to the listeners at home. Well, they are quite serious. They are allegations which are of a high, serious magnitude. That is why I thought to approach it not only by a sit-down, but it's by the MEC responding formally, because they are quite serious.
And what timeframes have you put in place there, Premier, for them to be to come through, to write to you or to give you an explanation of these allegations?
In fact, I'm expecting that Monday will be the last day for the response, so that I will sit down and look at the submission in order to consider the appropriate forward action.
So let's go through both of the cases. There's the official explanation that they will give you. That's not what I'm able to put to you now, but I'm able to put to you their public responses to the various allegations. MEC Hlomuga, the accusation there is that the National School Nutrition Program, the tenders and contracts there were awarded either to members of his family or his associates. And I think the wife of one of the ANC leaders in KwaZulu-Natal is mentioned as someone who got that tender, as well as a company that the MEC Hlomuga himself acknowledges that he registered it and was active in it, but has since stopped being active and therefore doesn't know whether or not they got this particular tender. Factually, did these two companies benefit from any of the tenders related to the department that's headed by the MEC?
Yeah, for now, to me, there are allegations that will have to be proven whether they did benefit, even if they benefited, to understand whether the process was a process of integrity. Because that is what we'll be looking at after the submission, because it will not end with the submission already about the process, because there are allegations even about the process. Even for the process, there will be some action. But I'm still waiting for the response from the MECs, which will inform, incorporate the processes to address all potential irregularities issues.
Okay, maybe let me ask it more simpler then, Premier. What did you make of the explanation proffered by the MEC of Education, MEC Hlomuga? A lot of people responding to it. It was a media interview. I'm pretty sure you saw it, where he says, I just don't know what's happening in the company in which I was active, which I had registered in the past. Was that a credible explanation in your view?
Well, in my view, is that the MEC knows the company and the company was registered by himself. That is my view, which, even if it's so, the assessment of the one procedure, whether if the company, because the allegations are suggesting that the company is not that it's benefiting now. It has been ongoing benefiting. So what we will need to understand whether it has been benefiting in terms within the premises of the law, or it has been benefiting unduly.
And then as relates to MEC Nomagugu Simelane, two sets of allegations. One has to do with a company that is linked to her family that is said to have benefited one way or another from various contracts. She's put out a statement and said that I am no longer active in that company and haven't been for a while. At all material times when it was participating in tendering or whatever programs of government, including this loan from Itala Bank, I was not in line to be able to influence those processes. Then the second allegation has to do with basically the allegation being that she was instrumental in ensuring that Jacinta Ngobese Zuma's contract with Vuma FM is not renewed, and basically using advertising or whatever business with Vuma FM as leverage in that. What have you made of both sets of accusations and the denial by the MEC?
I think they require further investigation, but I will go through the presentation, but I still insist that the people of KwaZulu-Natal and South Africa must be assured that the appropriate action will be taken after receiving the response, because, as I've said in the beginning, there are all serious allegations.
All right, I've got to thank you for your time, Premier. We will be touching base with you, of course, as the processes unfold. You're saying you expect that by Monday you will have received those explanations, and I suppose in the coming days we will then be able to touch base. That's Tamin Duli, Premier of KwaZulu-Natal.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning to you, Zai. So it's going down to the wire, is it?
Oh yes, it is.
The T20.
It doesn't mean that we're going to crumble, I hope, because the Proteas better bring that fire. We need it at this point. It is the final showdown with New Zealand, all happening in Harare tomorrow. Coach Shukri Conrad expected to field his strongest 11 after testing a youthful side throughout the tournament.
Playing against Australia is tough. Playing against Australia in Australia is obviously tougher. We're playing at venues that we know very little about. I don't think too much international cricket has been played there. But yeah, no, it's always going to be tough against Australia. And it will give us a really good yardstick and benchmark in terms of where a lot of our players are at. But this is all part of the build-up to the T20 World Cup, you know.
On to soccer, Banyana star Jermaine Seposenwe says it will be a good consolation to return home with a bronze medal when they face Ghana in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations 3rd and 4th place playoff tonight, 9 p.m. The forward announcing she'll be hanging up her boots after this year's WAFCON. She didn't want to reflect much on her legacy, but rather have people choose how they want to remember her.
My legacy, I don't really think about that a lot. It's an interesting question that a lot of people have been asking me as my time has come to an end. I feel like players, coaches, and people will remember me the way they want to remember me. I have no influence on that, and I don't really want to. I think my football and what I've achieved should be the only thing that people look at. And that should be how they remember me, but it's up to them. I think in South Africa, obviously, yes, I've been a great leader in the team. I've been someone that the country can count on when times are tough, and that's how a lot of people have looked at me.
Let's go to rugby. Newly appointed Vodacom Bulls coach Johan Ackerman says he's under no illusions about the size of the challenge ahead as he takes over the reins of South Africa's top-performing United Rugby Championship team. That's replacing the 2007 Rugby World Cup winning coach Jake White. Although officially appointed as head coach and not director of rugby, Ackerman confirmed the role will carry similar responsibilities.
Honestly, I can just say I'm learning everything on the go now. So I've spent time, most of all, getting to know everybody in the Loftus. Spend a bit of time with Andre on the SNC today, just to get a grip of where's our injured players. What's the near future with the URC guys returning on Monday? How does that integration work with Currie Cup starting on Saturday? Try to watch a bit of the Currie Cup training now, just to see what is a training look at, what is the format, and therefore, I'll have to assess everything on the go and then make decisions going forward on the staff, etc.
And finally, Bayanda Walaza claiming the sprint double at the World Student Games in Germany. He lifted the 200-meter crown to add to his 100-meter title he won earlier in the week. That's a wrap. We'll sprint back top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, the EFF says it's hosting their 12th anniversary celebrations in Khayelitsha and Cape Town because it's where the marginalised reside. The event taking place this weekend was scheduled for the Eastern Cape but had to be changed due to the recent floods that devastated the province. Gauteng police say 5 suspected cash-in-transit robbers shot dead during a shootout with police in Crown Mines in Johannesburg yesterday were wanted for other crimes committed in KwaZulu-Natal. And the football players who were stranded in Europe say they had a memorable experience abroad despite the drama around their return. The last group of 15 players and their coach arrived at the Cape Town International Airport yesterday. I'll have details on these and other stories at 8.
SAFM. Guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning, Joburg side. The Mike 1 crash scene at Parktown is being cleared, but it stays heavy this morning on that run from Ormonde, Gold Reef City all the way up towards Oxford Road. Crash on Joburg's N3 North at Buccleuch. That's heavy getting up from Edenvale, passing Alex and Limborough Park. And bad news for four-ways motorists. The traffic lights are down on Winnie Mandela and Sloane, so that means a problem coming out of four-ways on Winnie Mandela across the highway, but it means an extra delay on the N1 North and South getting off into that congested Winnie Mandela Drive. Whenever Winnie Mandela and Sloane go out, it just spells major problems on the highway and locally. The N1 in Pretoria, crash between the Montana on-ramp and Storhamville Road. That's really heavy. Jam-packed this morning from the N4 Bakwena Highway. The Sifago Makato out of Montana, all coming across from Aloto Road. Heavy backlogs trying to get into that N1 as well. If you're Durban bound, coming out of Richards Bay and Pangani, there's truck crash recovery between Mtunzini and Issaquahini. Expect some delays there on that section of the N2. The N2 from Prospect and up towards the Southern Freeway split. That's heavy this morning. Issues coming off the N2 onto the M4. And Cape Town, the earlier crash on the N2 inbound at Main Road's being cleared, but it's left a big backlog from Robert Sabukwe as you come inbound. And that truck crash still causing delays between the Philadelphia and the Melkbos exits, holding up traffic on the N7, arriving into the scene towards Cape Town, coming through from the Malmesbury side. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The business update on SAFM.
For the second update of the morning, let's turn to Ndauling Lechela once again. Ndauling, tell me about this survey. It's a glimmer of hope, isn't it? It reveals that South Africans are experiencing slightly lower levels of financial stress.
That's right, Thulas. But when you dig deeper, that's when you start seeing where the real problems lie. According to the 2025 Debt Busters Money Stress Tracker, 70% of respondents reported stress in April, down from 75% in 2024 and 78% in 2023. But middle-income earners, who are crucial in consumer spending and credit markets, continue to face significant financial pressure. The report revealed that individuals earning over 20,000 rands per month are among the most financially stressed and often have unsustainable debt level. In fact, 63% of respondents spend over 30% of their after-tax income on debt repayments, with nearly half exceeding 40%, a threshold, of course, considered unsustainable. Now, the impact of financial stress on daily life is also substantial, affecting home life, work, and health. A staggering 91% of those experiencing financial stress report its impact on their home life, while 73% feel it affect their work and health. And savings fatigue is also setting in, with only 37% of respondents actively trying to cut back on monthly spending, down from 43% in 2022. The survey also noted that short-term financial concerns, such as running out of money before the end of the month and struggling to pay debt, remain prevalent.
So more news coming out of our antitrust authorities, our competition authorities.
Yes.
Tell me what they've said about the Renergen ASP deal.
They've been giving, the green light to many deals over the past few months, and Renergen and ASP.
What's going on?
I also wonder.
Pella, those people are Mr. and Ms. No, generally.
Very strict, but it seems like they're giving the thumbs up to many of these companies that are engaging in M&A activity, ASP and Renergen among those. The competition regulators giving the companies the green light with certain conditions for ASP Isotopes' proposed acquisition of Renergen, a natural gas and helium producer. Now, the deal announced in May involves ASP acquiring all of Renergen's issued shares, with the current management team remaining in place. The acquisition is expected to close in the third quarter of the year and will provide Renergen with access to $750 million in U.S. government debt funding to expand helium production. Now, the transaction has garnered support, with over 35% of Renergen shareholders backing the deal. The acquisition is seen as a strategic move given the rise in global demand for helium and stable isotopes, which are critical in various sectors, including the chip industry, medical imaging, and advanced manufacturing. Now, Renergen's helium resources and ASP Isotopes' enriched technology are expected to be integrated as part of the deal. ASP is currently listed on the NASDAQ and plans to have a secondary listing on the JSE. Renergen, in the meantime, once that takeover is done, will delist from the JSE.
Please give us another recap of market activity in Dowling.
So starting in Asia, stocks sinking into the red this morning. The Hong Kong Hang Seng leading the losses, down over 8%. The negative sentiment comes as investors eye a new round of trade talks between China and the US over the weekend. The mood different in Wall Street, with futures in the green. Investors seemingly shrugging off trade risks and focusing on earnings. And then back at home, markets pulled back overnight, with the all share back under the 100,000 point mark, losing 0.2%. The rand also losing steam on the back foot this morning, trading at 17.64 to the dollar. Trade developments in the meantime influencing commodities, oil holding steady just above $67 per barrel.
Always right on the money is our Dowling Lechela. You'll hear from her one more time just after 8:30 here on the Morning Brief.
SAFM, in collaboration with the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz, brings you the Jazz for Young People concert, happening at the National School of the Arts on the 26th of July 2025. Tune in to Seasons and the soundtrack of your life, broadcasting live. This unique event is a powerful celebration of youth, creativity, and community spirit. Bring the whole family to enjoy a wonderful day of world-class jazz from young musicians, curated by Zoe Mudicha, featuring National School of the Arts Band, Willow Crescent Magnet School of Music Band, Biko's Manor, and many others. Have fun while doing good. Tickets are available at Quicket for just 80 Rand and 50 Rand for kids under 12. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
SABC Sport brings you Chasing the Sun, a powerful 5-part documentary series about the Springboks, telling the rousing tale of their path to redemption and ultimate World Cup glory in 2019. Starting on the 13th of July at 7:30 p.m. on SABC2, tune in every Sunday for the highs, the heartache, and the heroics that made rugby history. Stream each chapter on SABC Plus, anytime, anywhere, no subscription needed. Don't miss Chasing the Sun this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on SABC2. Be there when history shines.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
All right, let's hear what's on your mind this morning. Let's start with a call from Crispin out in Durban. Crispin, good morning to you. You want to talk about being assaulted this morning. What happened?
Yeah, it's unusual, I think, for your call list to be trending on social media, but a video of me being knocked around by members of the March and March movement at Addington is circulating. And I'm getting constant phone calls, too many, in fact. But what happened? I just had to go back to Addington to see the department I needed to see. That's all. I'm not going to be showing my ID to anyone in the street, whether it's a para or just some casual person. And you have these people outside saying, I've got to show them the ID. So I said, I'm not going to show you your ID. I want to go in. And I tried to go in. And if you're welcome to see the video if you like. There I am being pulled back, knocked back. My glasses thrown to the ground and, that sort of thing. So in the end, I actually had to phone the SAPS for them to come and sort of very kind of slowly tell these people that I had to go in. So I went in. Afterwards, I went to the SAPS in Point. I cannot tell you the degree of obstruction I received. No, we will only intervene if the Minister of Police tells us to intervene, secondly. And no, you may not lay a charge of assault. I mean, that is I think, quite remarkable. But people need to know something here. This is systematic. It has a strongly political design, and I need to remind people that in 2021, that whole conflagration, which cost us so many billions, so many lives, started with attacks on foreigners. So the people who are actually being excluded here, South Africans with no IDs, South Africans who left their IDs at home, South Africans who just refused to show their ID to strangers in the street, South Africans who are born to foreigners, South Africans who were born elsewhere, and then legally documented foreigners. And I saw legally documented foreigners in an emergency condition being turned away. And then, of course, what they say is their target, illegally, people without the right documentation. So naturally, in the physiotherapy department, 2 old people, South Africans, told me that they had been turned away. They had to come back later because they weren't let in.
Crispin,
so this is a knife at our throats.
Just briefly, Crispin, this is one of a series of confrontations you've had, and I've heard you relating the story, including with Kethe Mohlahlana a few days ago, that you've had 1 or 2 of these confrontations where you refuse to show your ID to strangers demanding that you show your ID. Why is this issue so important for you? And I guess what I want to ask you, what message are you seeking to communicate to the authorities that should be responding to this situation one way or another, either by, addressing uncontrolled illegal migration as demanded by the protesters, or addressing the problematic issues of this kind of protest as you are seeking to highlight?
Well, I'll be writing to the Ministers of Police and Health. I mean, it's an obvious and flagrant violation of Section 27 of the Constitution. Everyone has the right to health services, and nobody may be denied emergency treatment. So I wasn't going there to confront them. I was going there because I had to go to a particular department to get what I needed. My message to the authorities is they cannot sit around allowing this kind of lawlessness to continue.
Yeah.
I mean, are they serious about applying the law? Or is there some sort of political thing that gets tolerated that certain politically connected people can violate the law?
All right, Crispin.
And that's exactly at the heart of our current crisis nationally.
All right, let's leave it there. Thank you for that. That's Crispin in Durban. Let me go to JCK in Musina, who wants to raise the issue of electricity prices. Good morning to you.
Hey, Thulas, are you well?
I'm well. How are you, JCK? Please go ahead.
I'm not well, man. You know, the electricity is so expensive, so dear, man.
Yeah.
This is not the government of the people by the people. It's just the government of the mafias. If it's the government of the people, the government must listen to the people. You know, Thulas, we are subsidizing the rich. People like Ramaphosa, they don't buy electricity where they stay. Ministers, they don't buy electricity where they stay. But we, the poor people who are not working, we are paying for electricity. We are buying electricity and we buy electricity for them. It's like Thulas, if I give you a car, and a petrol is 500 per liter. Where I'm going to get that 500 to fill that vehicle?
It has become simply unaffordable for many people.
Yeah, you just say, hey, we are giving people the vehicles, but electricity, you're giving the people electricity, but we can't afford electricity.
Yeah. All right, JCK, thank you for that. Let me go to Chloe in Diepsloot. Good morning, Chloe. You also want to talk about issues of electricity as well.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, yes.
Yes, I need to speak. Yeah, I need to speak to you regarding the issue of electricity.
Yes, please go ahead.
We're having a problem with our transformer since the 3rd of June. I've reported it with ESCOM on the other end.
Chloe's line is not so great there, but I think I got enough from there, talking about a transformer issue since the 3rd of June in the area of Diepsloot. And I'm not sure which area in particular in Diepsloot Chloe was talking about, but I'm pretty sure the authorities who are responsible, be it City Power or ESCOM, would know exactly which one it is that has been out since the 3rd of June. That really is a long time. It really, really is a long time. I know that it takes a while whenever you have these issues with transformers and faults like those, but even by those standards, that does appear to be quite a long time. So hopefully someone was listening and will come to the aid of that community in Diepsloot. Sipho in Gqeberha, good morning. Airport security on your mind?
Yes. Thulas, I'm not going to ask you how because of the number of issues I'm going to raise.
Yes, please do. Please go ahead.
Just to hop on Christian, I want to ask you and your team to bring us a legal expert to talk to us about politicians in roadblocks who are asking for documents, either license or ID documents in roadblocks. That's one. Two, politicians that are physically removing items, expired goods or not expired goods in informal shops that are not legal. Secondly, municipal officials or politicians that are accessing people's domestic homes during operations of either cutting water or electricity. Is that permitted? I'm telling you, it's not permitted in law.
So you're talking in those instances where the MEC, MMC, minister, etc., will be at the forefront of these enforcement activities, and they then partake themselves. You're saying technically that is not permitted by law?
Technically and legally, it's not permitted by law. People in law are defined who can ask such documents in roadblocks, or people who can remove so-called illegal items or expired items in a shop, and people who can access somebody's home during the municipal operation, either for water or electricity. Not to say oversight cannot be conducted, but accessing that property.
All right, Sipho, very quickly to the issue around airport security.
Look, I'm not sure whether we still have government or no, it's ANC issue. ANC is absent in government when it comes to critical issues. We've not heard the department, the minister, we've not heard the BMA speaking on this grenade issue and OR Tambo Airport. And I'm leaving it there. well good for Magashule Ghana to come in and talk on the matter. They are playing their role. But government and its agencies are absent.
Yeah.
The last part from me, Sizwe, is the war that is being prepared. America is not by mistake. It's not out of plan that it's dumping people in Swaziland who are said criminals. And it's not by mistake that some Lesothos or some groupings in Lesotho are in training and preparing to claim back what is called or said to be their land. And this is going to happen. And South Africa needs to enter quickly into security agreement with Russia and China.
Sure.
So that America cannot be allowed to move into South Africa.
Gotcha.
That's the only preventative measure, because the country does not have capacity at all.
All right, Sipho Nkabecha, raising a variety of issues there. Thank you for your call this morning. We will, of course, take more of your voice notes and calls a bit later on.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
This morning, 2 crash scenes between the Montana on-ramp and Storenville Road. The traffic on the N1 is all the way back to the N4 Bakwena Highway. There's a really big backlog out of Montana, Sefako Makato to the highway, and then others pushing across to avoid the highway and jamming up the run through to Moloto Road, and then the Bothiansport Road that links you from the Moloto Road, Sefako Makato junction going south, parallel to the highway, full of traffic as well. Also, crash on the N4 between Watermeer Street and the N1 highway. So inbound from Simon Vermuten side, that all gets a bit busy. Crash on Centurions N1 North before Old Joburg Road. Some queuing pressure there. There's still some delays up the N3 from Edenvale up into Buccleuch interchange after an earlier crash, and no lights on Winnie Mandela and Sloane. So the M1 highway north and south to get off at Winnie Mandela is really backed up. And before that, a crash on the M1 north at Malabongwe. So coming through from Bayers Nordia, passing that crash and then up to the congestion of four ways, very heavy. Durban's N2 north still queuing up to the M4 Southern Freeway split. That's a very busy run up top of Tweedy Hill, if you like, through Prospect, and top of the M13 Fields Hill from Gillett's Maytime, from the golf course side of Kloof. That's very busy this morning, coming down to get onto Fields Hill. And truck crash recovery between the Mtunzini Plaza and eSekhawini, so some extra delays on that section of the N2 south of Empangeni this morning. Truck fire earlier on Cape Town's N7 south between Philadelphia and Melkbos. Looks like that's finally been dealt with. And Baden-Powell drivers eased up through Strandfontein, but it's pretty busy this morning as you queue through Coastal Park into Muizenberg. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Are you looking for deals you can't ignore? Get to Dis-Chem for great deals this winter for the whole family. Save a massive R400 on the Gillette Fusion 5 Pro Cartridges 12-pack, now only R999.99. Get 20% off all Nutri-Men face care products and save R79.98 when you buy any 2 Sanex 500ml shower gels for just R100. Hurry, winter price cuts end 17 August. Only at Dis-Chem. Better health starts here.
Mzansi, be in it to win it. The Powerball jackpot guaranteed at 92 million rand is up for grabs this Friday. This is your chance at a life-changing 92 million rand jackpot. Don't delay. Play Powerball today and you could win big. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120*7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. eTuba is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
Thulasizwe Simelane is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
It is 6 minutes to 8 here on the Morning Brief. The country's public healthcare system facing a critical staffing crisis, with nearly 6,000 doctors and nurses resigning annually from state facilities. parliamentary data reveals a worsening brain drain driven by poor working conditions, understaffing, and limited rural placement incentives. As thousands of qualified professionals either emigrate or leave the sector entirely, experts are warning that the country's health system is being pushed to the brink. So let's speak to Dr. Luvuyo Bayeni, who is Chief Director for Human Resources for Health, that is at the Department of Health. Good morning to you, Doc, and thank you for your time. This data, just put it in context for us. It's over how long a period? Because the number I saw mentions some 71,000 or thereabouts health professionals, both doctors and nurses, that we have lost over a period of time.
All right. Thank you very much to them, and good thanks to the listeners as well, and thank you for the opportunity to have us as a department engage in the conversation. I like that you are saying let's also explain the data. Let's assure the community that the data source is that of parliamentary responses that we do submit on a weekly basis based on the questions posed by the honourable members. And indeed, we did have a parliamentary question that had asked us to reflect over a period of 12 years, which is from 2013 up to 2025, in terms of the PESAL data that we provided. So yes, it is over a period of 12 years. But what we also want to share with the community is that sometimes when we respond to the parliamentary questions, the platform thereof might not be ideal for us to express or go into detail on certain things. As an example, the data on PESAL will look at a different mixture of appointment types, whereby it talks to interns, it talks to community services, it talks to sessionals, and also it will include what you would refer to as your COVID era, which fortunately the article does go to acknowledge that there was a peak between 2020 and 2021 in terms of those numbers that had since left the department. So that is the context of the data, and we are proud as well that we are able to be transparent and share information that is available when we respond to those parliamentary questions. So I hope it does clarify in terms of the data source, in terms of the duration, as well as the limitations in terms of expanding on the types of the appointments or the attritions that we were referring to.
Does the type of appointment matter though, Doc, bar the appointments that were made on a temporary basis when we were responding to the crisis with regard to COVID? The numbers still remain high, and someone would say that these are medical professionals we need in the system anyway, given, for instance, our doctor-patient ratio, which is well below the standards internationally. So whatever the type of appointment we're talking about, temporary, community service, the fact is our system needs these professionals.
Well, if you put it in that way, however, we also need to alert and maybe share and educate listeners as well to say indefinitely that if I'm appointed as an intern or as a ComServe, my type of employment is limited. So it's not a question of trying to express that we are losing people, but it's just to acknowledge that their time was meant to be just for that moment. For instance, these people, categories we're talking about of internship and ComServe, it's a limited contracted time. But we can also confirm to you that we had also responded equally so to a question posed by honourable member in February, which was asking us in terms of what would have happened post the community service. And when we responded to it, we had acknowledged that between 2019 and 2025, we had appointed about 13,911 doctors post-community services. Those would be your permanent appointments in terms of the system. And nurses, we had appointed 12,777. If you go further, there's pharmacists of 1,433. So, yes, it does matter because we just want to clarify in terms of the expression of the numbers as presented by the article. And we're not saying that we did not have them terminate. However, we just wanted to clarify. But also, beyond that, there were parliamentary questions that also asked us what happened to the permanent appointments thereof. And like I'm quoting, this one was responded to in February 2025 as posed by the member, and the PQ number is 342. So we do appoint after, but we're just clarifying that the PESAL data, we did not tweak it. It was just reflecting on the attritions that were requested by the member for the period under review.
Why are we losing doctors to countries such as Australia, New Zealand, and the UK? To what extent does that have to do with just being overworked and suffering burnout and issues around infrastructure, given the context, as I was saying earlier on, that we are in a situation where the WHO, for instance, recommends 1 doctor per 1,000 people, but our ratio is 0.3 per 1,000 people, which is far below what is recommended.
Thank you very much. What we can also comment, one, is that, as you might understand, there are different factors that influence people living, especially ending up living in the country. I agree with you that among the considerations people will look into will be issues of infrastructure, which is why there is a strong emphasis on the plans for infrastructure. And I think you might recall even the minister's budget speech. If you listened and read it, I think from page 2 to page 9, it was more explicit about infrastructure issues, even before coming to other issues related to HRH and the programs and all that. So there is an emphasis from us as a department to want to secure and fix and correct the imbalances that relate to issues of infrastructure. But secondary to that, we are very emphatic, especially from the HRH point of view, whereby in our strategy there is goal number 5 that says we need to ensure that we provide an enabling factor for the workers, because it's not only the building that people are interested in, but also to know that we value them as employees and we take care of them. As a result, as we speak now, next week we're having a 2-day session where we are trying to review our OHS approach as a department, and we have even extended the invite to include, among others, your labor relation reps in terms of the unions, and also make sure that even from the ground, the employees will get a voice to say, how are we treating them? Because at the end of the day, for us as an employer, we would like to come close to meeting their expectations, as much as we might not always meet them at the time that they expect us to, but we are very sensitive to meeting them. So yes, I agree with you that infrastructure might be amongst the issues that may influence, but also personnel, because there is what we call now in the global phenomenon, where we call it professional tourism. Someone might just wish to go and work somewhere else because they want to explore and want to go and visit another country. And they know that with the profession that they hold, some of them having funded by the state, by the way, they can go and apply to work in that other country. So there are different influencers that do make people consider to go away.
Completely out of time. Thank you for your time this morning. That's Dr. Luvuyo Bayeni, Chief Director for Human Resources for Health, that is at the Department of Health. Straight to N. Musa with the latest news.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Time to switch and save. Call 0800 60,000 today.
In our top stories, EFF to celebrate 12th anniversary in Khayelitsha and cash in transit suspects killed linked to other crimes. Good morning. The EFF leader, Julius Malema, says the party will be celebrating its 12th anniversary in Khayelitsha and Cape Town because it is part of the most marginalized in the country. The event taking place this weekend was scheduled for the Eastern Cape but had to be changed due to the recent floods that devastated the province. Speaking during a media briefing in Cape Town, Malema highlighted the importance of celebrating in a location where the majority of the poor and working class reside.
The chosen venue of Khayelitsha is significant. It is the second largest township in South Africa, home to thousands of poor and working class Africans who continue to live under the weight of spatial apartheid and deliberate underdevelopment. Khayelitsha remains fiscally and economically separated from the so-called world-class parts of Cape Town. When the DA-led city speaks of a smart city, they are not referring to Khayelitsha. It is for this reason that the EFF has chosen to host its 12th anniversary in Khayelitsha. We must be where the people are.
Gauteng police say 5 suspected cash-in-transit robbers shot dead during a shootout with police in Crown Mines in Johannesburg yesterday were wanted for other crimes committed in KwaZulu-Natal. Gauteng Police Commissioner Tommy Mtombeni says the vehicle the suspects were using matched one used in previous crimes in KwaZulu-Natal.
Based on the vehicle, you can see the vehicle which they were driving in there. This vehicle have been linked with the previous crime scene, as I've indicated in Kingsley in KwaZulu-Natal. On the 14th, there was attempted murder and cash-in transistor heist, the G4S. And this vehicle is the same vehicle which have been seen on that other crime scene.
A 30-year-old man has been arrested for allegedly raping and impregnating a 14-year-old girl in Thohoyandou, Limpopo. Police spokesperson Malisela Lidwaba says the teenager opened up about her ordeal to her school principal after falling ill. The principal informed her parents and she was taken to the local clinic. Lidwaba says the suspect is expected to appear before the Thohoyandou Magistrates Court soon.
The matter was reported to police, who then opened a case of rape, and members of the Provincial Intervention Team, jointly with Thohoyandou Family Violence, Child Protection and Sexual Offences Unit, activated a manhunt of the suspect. On Tuesday, the 22nd of July 2025, a 30-year-old male suspect was subsequently nabbed at Chitereke village.
The football players who were stranded in Europe say they had a memorable experience abroad despite the drama regarding their return. The last group of 15 players and their coach arrived at the Cape Town International Airport yesterday afternoon. A group of players left the city earlier this month to take part in a football tournament in Spain. The team members who were meant to return on the 16th were left stranded after the BT Football Academy failed to secure their return flight tickets and had to rely on donors and private funders. This is what the players had to say.
Well, good and excited to be back home and seeing my parents again. The competition, I can't lie, it's very heavy. In Spain, they are very, very good, but we actually pushed. I feel good, I feel excited. Even overseas, we're fine. We enjoyed the experience as well. In the midst of everything else that happened, God still prevailed. Yeah, it was fun actually, so we never planned to actually go to Portugal. It was only Spain, so it was very, very exciting as well to see the different cities in Spain and in Portugal also. I've missed my whole family. I mean, it's been too long. We were promised 10 days and obviously the 10 days turned into 2.5 weeks. Now the tournament was actually great. It was a beautiful experience.
And finally, the U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff says Hamas has shown a lack of desire in the Gaza ceasefire talks in Qatar, and alternative options will now be considered to bring Israel's hostages home. He did not say what alternative options these were. The BBC's Nick Beek has the details.
The families of the 50 remaining hostages in Gaza, 20 of whom are thought to be alive, said they were deeply concerned by the decision to recall the Israeli team. Earlier this month, Palestinian sources said talks were on the brink of collapse. The main points of contention have been the future distribution of aid, where Israeli troops would move to, and the Hamas demand that the war does not restart at the end of a 60-day truce. Just because the negotiations are now on hold, it doesn't mean they've failed yet.
Recapping the top story, the EFF leader Julius Malema says the party will be celebrating its 12th anniversary in Khayelitsha and Cape Town because it is part of the most marginalised in the country. The event taking place this weekend was scheduled for the Eastern Cape but had to be changed due to the recent floods that devastated the province. For SFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Visit outsurance.co.za today. You always get something out.
Here's some breaking news you might have missed. Gordon, a 44-year-old man, switched to Outsurance and now saves an unbelievable 2,794 Rand a month on his 2019 Ford Everest 2-litre automatic. Outsurance clients always get something out. Get a quote today and see how much Outsurance could save you on your car insurance. Call 0800 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. You always get something out. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
It's a very good morning to you. In your SFM Sports headlines, it's soccer. Kaizer Chiefs midfielder Thabo Tele says the team is brimming with real camaraderie ahead of the Toyota Cup clash against the Ghanaian Giants Asante Kotoko. And the rugby Springbok coach Rassie Erasmus has a fly-half conundrum. Let's find out more just before 8:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. It's Eddie getting through Pretoria on the M1 South. Major delays. A crash before Stormful. Traffic backed up almost to the N4 Bakwena Highway. Off the highway, Sefaka Makato coming through from Montana through the highway down towards Moloto Road. That's quite heavy. At the same time, a crash on the N4 into Pretoria before the M1 Highway. That's pushing a big delay back through Rousseau Street, back towards Simon Vermuten, if you like. Joburg's N3, Edenvale to Beclue is heavy. The N1 North under pressure. A crash by Malabongwe. And then lights off as you come off at William Mandela and turn down to Sloane. So the M1 North under pressure. Southbound from Rivonia is quite heavy. And just north of the highway, Witkoppen and Main is on a heavy jam on all approaches. Durban, the M13, as you come from the Kloof Golf Course onto Fields Hill, staying quite busy. Traffic lights are down on the M7 at the N2, so bluff-bound traffic being delayed and held up through there. Cape Town busy on the N2 through Somerset West both ways. Looks like just Friday volumes jamming things up there. The N2 inbound from Langa to Hospital Bend stays busy, and the earlier truck fire on the N7 South still causing problems as you come from Philadelphia down towards the Melkbos split. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
10 minutes after 8, it is great to be in your company. We are into the third hour of the Friday edition of the Morning Brief here on SAFM. Happy Friday to you. Let me just reflect on some of the messages that are coming through on the WhatsApp line. Someone is reflecting on the conversation we had earlier on about that security lapse that allowed a passenger to board with 2 training grenades and board a flight from OR Tambo International Airport, which was only detected when the passenger arrived in Addis Ababa. This person says, AXA, that is the airport's company South Africa, is running OR Tambo to the ground. In April, I contacted them about scammers at the shuttle stop. Their handling was dismal. So that's one person there reflecting on that particular particular situation. I'm startled because I just happened to open a message that I had not expected, because I had, you go through these messages beforehand and, I'll go to this one, then the next one. But there's one from Oscar Dlomo that really threw me off. So let me go to it then. Oscar is asking, when is the Chelsea jersey going to be hanged? There should be a moratorium on these celebrations from next week. Oscar, guys, like, I would Oscar, no. What did I do, Oscar? I'm always wearing this shirt on a Friday. And in fact, I'm getting the 2025-2026 season one. So, yeah, it is what it is, Oscar, okay? And then someone there wanting to talk about the conversation with Premier Ntuli of KZN, saying the Premier has no powers. He won't do anything. He is forgetting that his collusion government, not coalition, collusion government with them, basically, I suppose, that enabled that situation is what the point that person is making about why we are seeing these allegations being made against the MSCs in KZN. So keep it going. Send more of those WhatsApp messages and WhatsApp voice notes on the number 061-410-4107. But of course, I'll start with the calls in the next few minutes, and the number for that is 086 000 2032. Let's waste no further time. Let's get straight to it.
Despite defeats in the semi-finals, the Black Queens and Banyana Banyana demonstrated real character. They are now hunting for the bronze medallion and the third place finish. This is the Total Energies Women's Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2024. Catch the meeting between the West and the South. Ghana tackles South Africa this Friday, 25 July at 5:30 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus, SABC 3 and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC radio stations at 6 p.m. Where Africa competes, South Africa connects. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Call Thulasizwe now. 086 000 2032.
All right, let me start with a call from Zakele in Pinetown. Good morning to you, Zakele. You are on this point about people being blocked from accessing hospitals.
Yes, morning, Tulas. My comment is basically about the previous caller. I don't usually like to comment about the callers, but it's in relation to the previous caller that he made mention of saying that he was sent away at Eddington Hospital.
Yeah.
So he made the reference to say that there's a video to the effect, which I haven't had the sight of. But maybe what I can say in relation to that part of the discussion that we had with him was that he had engaged with other South Africans that were turned away purely because they didn't produce South African IDs. And he further stated that he had some documented foreign nationals that were turned away.
Yes.
And also he also made mention of saying that he was also assaulted further to that. Now, for me, all these things that he's saying, I mean, for him, firstly, to say that he engaged with other South Africans that were turned away. Also, there were some foreign nationals that were turned away. For me, it suggests that the reason why he was going there was not necessarily for himself to get the medical attention, but it was for him to go there with his own intention. And I've been led to believe that whatever that he is saying, that's between you and I. I've been led to believe that he's not telling the truth. There's something that is not truthful from what he's saying. I've been led to think that there are a lot of people that are against this march and this Tutula operation that are taking place at this point in time.
How can you say that though? He says he had gone there because he needed treatment. He needed to go there, not to confront them. You and I have no basis to doubt that unless we know for a fact that he didn't go there, and also that he went there specifically for a confrontation and didn't receive treatment. It's a bit of a difficult one to make that assertion, is it not?
Yes, it is a bit of a tricky one, Tulas, but my own observation from this whole thing is that he have had a lot of lengthy time to have engagement with not only with those that were blocking him, but with other people for him to come and report back to us to say that these people were also the victims, these people were also the victims. That alone should tell us that they were intention, they were out.
Not really. When you are waiting to be served at a public hospital and you have an issue that is close to your heart and you're seeing people around you, you start engaging in conversation. That's very plausible to me. I don't know about you.
But I have seen those videos, Tulas. I have seen videos from outside that he wasn't inside. He was blocked between you and I. He wasn't. It's not like he was sitting in the benches waiting to be served. He was outside and he was blocked to get in. And outside there is people from March and March, and he was actually engaging only to those victims. How is that possible to us?
All right, Zakele, thank you. I've engaged you. Thank you for that engagement. That's Zakele in Pinetown. Let me go to David out in Pietermaritzburg, staying in KwaZulu-Natal. Good morning to you, David. A different matter altogether on your mind this morning.
Yeah, man, I'm concerned about the issue of student accommodation. You keep on hearing that there are some accommodations that are owned by Nigerian drug dealers. And my concern is that are these buildings that they claim to be owning, are these the ones that are being said to be hijacked? Again, secondly, even here in I read the story about the TUT students complaining that where they are staying, the accommodations are owned by Nigerian drug dealers, and at some time they supply them with drugs,
Sure.
So even here in Durban, like the UKZN and the what do you call this one for students for education in Pietermaritzburg. I forgot the name of this institution of higher learning. There are accommodations that are being owned by Nigerians. So the question is, how do they get access to the tendering system if these things are done through tendering system? So it says to me there's a lot of serious scrutiny that should be conducted on the institutions of higher learning. And I don't know whether they are getting these opportunities because institutions of higher learning are highly dominated by foreigners in terms of the employees. So I think a serious scrutiny should be conducted on this matter.
David, thank you for that. And I think in terms of the accommodation outside of campus, that would be the domain of the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, I imagine. And they've got a criteria that they use in terms of, licensing and allowing into the system their service providers. But the allegations that you raise, I suppose it would be a straightforward issue to ask them to clarify what is the criteria. Have these concerns come up of illegal foreign nationals running some of these institutions and in the process being involved in the supply of drugs, as you are alleging? I think it would be a straightforward one to ask of them. But of course, it gets more complicated because NSFAS itself faces so many issues that have been raised around this issue of student accommodation. So all we are doing really is just adding and piling on to those. Let me take one or two voice notes.
Morning, Thulasizwe. This is Zipozawa and Kabeka. You know, this thing of foreign nationals, undocumented foreign nationals being all over our country is not right. Because last week I saw a truck full of illegals going to fix a pipe at a primary school. What if something happens to our little children in that prime? Who's going to be responsible for that?
Good morning, Thulasizwe. In relation to the conversation you had with Jacinta Ngombesi Zuma, I just feel like the lady mustn't come on the radio and act like she has some kind of top secret information that she may just spill out if she's not left alone. Because she mustn't be threatening the ANC for no reason. Because at the end of the day, whatever is out there in the public is not scrutinizing her name in any way, shape or form. That's just my opinion. Daniel here in Bryanston.
All right, thank you for that. Of course, in reference to the conversation we had much earlier on with Jacinta Ngombesi Zuma, who's basically saying, don't provoke me or else I will tell what's really at play in terms of the issue of the non-renewal or the termination of the contract that she had with Vuma FM. Thank you for those. We'll play a bit more a bit later on.
Champions need motivation above and beyond winning. South Africa, show your love and support for the WAFCON defending champions Banyana Banyana. Witness the CAF Total Energies Women's Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2024 from 5 to 26 July 2025 on SABC Plus, S3, SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC radio stations. Where Africa competes, South Africa connects. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game. Despite defeats in the semi-finals, the Black Queens and Banyana Banyana demonstrated real character. They are now hunting for the bronze medallion and the third place finish. This is the Total Energies Women's Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2024. Catch the meeting between the West and the South. Ghana tackles South Africa this Friday, 25 July at 5:30 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus, SABC 3 and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC radio stations at 6 p.m. Where Africa competes, South Africa connects. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Big stories of the day. Hashtag The Morning Brief.
All right, so a lot of institutions reflecting on 4 years since you had what is known as the July unrest of 2021 that left a trail of devastation and lives lost. So one of those institutions that is reflecting is Sasria. This is the special risk insurance that came to the fore around that time, handling claims that were upward of 50 billion rand at the time, and I'm told it's about 17,000 claims that were processed. That institution is also reflecting on lessons learned from that episode in our country's history. I'm joined now by Muzi Dladla, who is Executive Manager for Stakeholder Relations at Sasria. It's a state-owned entity. Muzi Dladla joins us now. Good morning to you, and thank you for your time. So 17,000 claims coming through back then, 50 billion rand thereabout, really stressing and challenging your own ability to meet the claims at the time, with the result that the state had to intervene. What are some of the key lessons 4 years later when you look back that you've taken on board in terms of how you do things now compared to how you did things back then?
Thank you for having me, Thulasizwe. We've had quite a number of lessons that we've learned from the July 2021. But, to truly answer the question, I think one needs to understand the fiscal space and the risk financing in South Africa to highlight really actually where the biggest gaps are. So So South Africa has a very highly complex disaster risk financing structure at the fiscal level. It relies largely on budgetary shifts and prioritization after an event takes place. And that is largely based on risk retention. So whether it is civil commotion, there's flood, or any disaster that we have, the compounding effect of all of that, it becomes too big for the state to be able to handle that. So they then have to move money around and dip into contingency reserves, which are hardly ever enough, even getting to have loans. But, so that's why then you would have entities like a Sasria then, which is on the risk transfer side, where you now are blending, ex-post financing with after the event or with before the event. So what we learned, particularly from 2021, is that we can't just be paying claims or looking to pay claims on the risk transfer side. There are certain things that we can do because we are ensuring the behavior of disgruntled individuals. It's a very difficult thing to do. So we needed to have some very good intelligence. And I remember the Minister of Finance, in one of the documentaries we did, not finance, Minister of the Police at the time, did admit to say that the intelligence that they had was not sufficient enough to give rise to understand it to exactly what's going to happen where. So we've built, or we are in a process actually of building together with other entities an early warning system. So it's like a real-time investment into data and predictive models. So these tools are designed to shift the risk and understand what people are saying. So it's a sentiment analysis where we would gather information from social media, from partners that we have, from Municipal IQ, which is one of the entities that we gather information from. And that gives us, in the model, it tells us exactly what is happening, what people are saying at any given time, and then we're able to then know how to act.
But in terms of your contingency and your own budgets, are you better prepared now? Have you taken those lessons on board? And I know you will say that it's difficult to plan for because you can never know what the scale of the requirement will be. But I imagine that you must have taken something on board that means that you'd be better prepared financially and in terms of that contingency.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So on the financial side, I think I would say that we are sitting in I would say, better position than we did in 2021. So in terms of being prepared, should anything happen at any given time, because there are two really sources of funds for an insurance company to be able to handle. You can see your own reserves that you keep. It's also reinsurance on the other hand. So we're paying a whole lot more now for reinsurance, but at least our program that we have, I mean, we can handle much more than we did before, because that's the one part. But if you remember the report that came out of July 2021, it suggested that the mitigations could have been improved. And if they were improved, what we saw as the amount quoted, 50 billion plus, would have been a lot lower than that. So it's focusing on both ends, being prepared, financially having the funds, but also the mitigation side, which in my view, it's the one that we're doing a whole lot more to do so that we can be able to make sure that when it happens, we at least can apply resources where they're needed.
Lastly, and very briefly, I do need to ask you about the SIU investigation that you requested, because, you know, as happens in these things, sadly, Muzi, while you are in the work of responding to the actual need, there are various other processes that do take place that are questionable. Tell me how far that is. There was a proclamation, of course, from the president. What has it revealed thus far?
The investigation is ongoing at this point because we had done some work prior to the SIU coming in to gather the information and evidence that we have on our side on some of the large, very, very, very large claims that we found to, I would say, alert at this time as, to be fraudulent. So they are busy looking at that. And obviously, those who will be found to have committed fraud, there would be consequences for that. So it's ongoing. So we can't really share much information about it right now. But as soon as the information is out, I think it will be outside.
Thank you for that. Muzi Dladla, Executive Manager, Stakeholder Relations at Sasria. They call it the insurance we didn't know we needed. Right? Not many of us knew until it was needed in July 2021.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
All right, Zai, tell me about Kaizer Chiefs and their preparations at the Toyota Cup. Which one is that now?
Hey, this is another one. I think after last season's flat tire, they're hoping that this one...
Everything keeps going well. They're hoping everything keeps going well, Toyota.
Oh, wow. I think they're in for... maybe a major service is what Kaizer Chiefs need. And they've got Thabo Cele saying the team is brimming with real camaraderie and the fighting spirit ahead of tomorrow's Toyota Cup clash against the Ghanaian Giants, Asante Kotoko at Moses Mabhida Stadium. Now, fresh from a tough pre-season tour in the Netherlands, Cele believes the team has grown tighter through adversity and is calling on fans to rally behind the Amakosi. The squad has been boosted by 6 new signings. Kickoff is at 3 p.m. in Durban, and you can catch it live on SABC Sport. Now, SABC Sport has learned that the left-back Fawaz Basadin was a notable absentee during Stellenbosch FC's training, a big indication that talks between the club and Mamelodi Sundowns are progressing. Sundowns are yet to make any big moves in the current transfer window, and Basadin has now emerged as a serious target. Elsewhere, Arsenal, they've completed the signing of defender Christian Mosquera from Valencia for an initial fee in the region of 309 million rand. The 21-year-old has joined the Gunners on a 5-year contract. Meanwhile, Springbok coach Rassie Erasmus has a fly-half conundrum ahead of the Rugby Championship with Mani Libbok, Andre Pollard and Sasha Feinberg and Ngomezulu all in the mix, with Grant Williams likely to start as scrum half. Erasmus may opt for flair up front and finish with Pollard's boot. The Boks kick off their campaign against Australia next month before gunning for a first win at Eden Park since 1937. Cricket now. Proteas face New Zealand in the final T20 series tomorrow in Harare. Coach Shukri Conrad is expected to field his strongest 15 after testing that youthful side throughout the tournament.
Playing against Australia is tough. Playing against Australia in Australia is obviously tougher. We're playing at venues that we know very little about. I don't think too much international cricket has been played there. But yeah, no, it's always going to be tough against Australia. And it will give us a really good yardstick and benchmark in terms of where a lot of our players are at. But this is all part of the build-up to the T20 World Cup, you know.
And finally, motorsport. Max Verstappen says Christian Horner's removal as Red Bull team principal has no impact on the decision about his future.
Life has to go on because, because we had the 2-week break, so there were, of course, from team side a lot of things going on. But at the same time, I already had, basically like a week planned of holidays. So in a way, it was also good just to reflect on the first bit of the season, and just come back here and just go again, try to be better.
And that's a wrap of the Morning Brief Sport. You can catch me on Spotlight Saturday night, 7 to 9 p.m. I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning. In the headlines, the Gauteng Education Department has advised parents who may experience glitches when applying for grade 1 and 8 school admissions not to leave the page without completing their applications. The department says failure to submit complete applications will result in learners not getting school placements on time. The Motherwell Magistrates Court in the Eastern Cape has denied bail to a pastor accused of the kidnapping and murder of his 12-year-old relative. And the EFF leader Julius Malema says the party will be celebrating its 12th anniversary in Khayelitsha in Cape Town because it is part of the most marginalised in the country. The event taking place this weekend was scheduled for the Eastern Cape but had to be changed due to the recent floods that devastated the province. I'll have details on these and other stories at 9.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Well, the crash scene on Pretoria's N1 South just after Sefaga Makato, which caused major backlogs this morning, has been cleared. That N1 South traffic is moving through. The big problem now is on the N4 coming inbound. This is the Emalafeni Highway. Crash before the N1, and that's got traffic pushed back through Watermeer and back towards Rousseau Street. Heavy pressure, top of four ways. The N1 off-ramping at Winnie Mandela, very slow. There's no lights at Winnie Mandela and Sloane, so the bridge system there on the N1 highway severely jammed up heading to Brian. skies, and that just means it prevents the free flow off the N1 from Rivonia and off from Randburg. So it's all very heavy. The N3 passing Limbro Park up to Buccleuch stays heavy with an earlier crash scene there, which has been cleared. Durban, the N2 going north up towards the M7. That's quite slow this morning. That's a little bit unusual. To see that traffic queuing, just watch for that. And Cape Town, the broken down vehicle N2 inbound after Rappenberg's being cleared. The N2 and N1 routes are both quite heavy approaching the city centre. Just coming in from sort of Woodstock and coming down Nelson Mandela Boulevard. Some roadworks at Herzog Boulevard off-ramp causing delays, but both of those highways onto that sort of elevated foreshore area remain busy. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The Business Update on SAFM.
Good morning to you once again, Dowling. Let's start with predictions and expectations coming through from Goldman Sachs as well as Investec with regard to rates cuts. What are they predicting?
So analysts expect the SARB to take a dovish stance on monetary policy for the rest of the year. Goldman Sachs and Investec predict interest rates cuts at each of the central bank's remaining meetings this year. This as inflation remains subdued, consistently below the 4.5% midpoint of the Reserve Bank's target range since August. Now, Goldman Sachs expects the central bank to lower its benchmark rate by 75 basis points to 6.5% by the end of the year. According to Andrew Matheny, senior economist at Goldman Sachs, policymakers will likely consider low price growth, declining inflation expectations, and the need to support the economy, which has averaged less than 1% annual growth over the past decade. Investec's chief economist, Annabel Bishop, somewhat shares the same sentiment and says that there's room for rate cuts, suggesting at least 1% reduction is warranted due to the neutral interest rate being 2% above inflation and weak demand. Now, Bishop believes the SARB has room to cut rates at each remaining meeting this year, but may only yield one more cut, potentially next week or later this year, with a further 25 basis point reduction next year. I hope Governor Lesetja Kganyago is listening, hear what all the economists
But you know he doesn't make that decision alone, you know. Who knows? Maybe, you know, if it was up to him, you know, we would get, this would come through all the time. What's that expression they use in court? As it pleases the sub.
Does it though? I don't think so.
So tell me, Dowling, National Treasury, this is a serious matter, is it not? The issue of cybersecurity. I did not think that National Treasury was Look, I know that everyone is prone, but I would have thought, you know, they have their guards up, really, really up.
Yeah. Especially because we've had so many government entities being, or rather falling victim to cyber attacks and reporting these breaches. You'd expect that perhaps they have their guards up just a bit more. This time around, we see National Treasury falling victim, reporting a malware attack on its infrastructure reporting model website, prompting swift action to isolate the affected servers and assess the breach's magnitude. Now, the incident, of course, highlighting the growing importance of protecting the country's digital infrastructure, particularly when it comes to these government entities. Despite the breach, Treasury assured that its core systems and public-facing websites remain fully operational with no disruptions reported. This incident is part of a broader trend of cyber attacks targeting government-linked entities. In May, I think it was in May, where we heard of SAA suffering a major attack as well. Now, in a Business Day article, cybersecurity experts emphasize the need for robust digital defenses, employee training, and awareness. So basically, more focus on cybersecurity.
Lastly, Dowling, what kind of a trading day can we expect today?
The local markets are likely to start the day in negative territory following global peers. And looking at company news, there's a production report from Merafe Resources and Hyprop updating markets on its bid for massive assets. So traders will be waking up to that. Over in the currency scene, the rand on the back foot this morning at 17.65 to the dollar on the back of trade jitters. The ongoing negotiations also influencing the oil price, with analysts predicting an increase in crude demand on the back of the deals, the trade deals that have been sealed already. And so it's trading stronger at about $68. Yes, $68 per barrel. Meanwhile, in the US, earnings still in focus, and as the numbers filter through, futures are in positive territory. Lastly, in Asia, markets in the red today, with traders approaching equities with caution ahead of US-China trade talks taking place this weekend.
All right, thank you for that. Have a great weekend. That's Ntauling Lechalade. She's kept you updated on business, economics, and the markets for the last 3 hours.
Breaking news. SARS has enhanced the personal income tax return form. It has simpler questions that adapt to your income and deductions based on your answers. Whether you're employed or self-employed, the digital form has built-in guidance and the option to save and finish later. Tax matters, so does your time. File with ease on e-filing or the SARS Mobi app today. Go to sars.gov.za. SARS, at your service.
Mzansi, be in it to win it. The Powerball jackpot guaranteed at 92 million rand is up for grabs this Friday. This is your chance at a life-changing 92 million rand jackpot. Don't delay. Play Powerball today and you could win big. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120*7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old to play responsibly. E2 is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
It's season 2 and the stakes are even higher. This time, South Africa's favorite stars are back at the briefcase, playing for charities close to home and close to the heart. Big names, big hearts, big deals. Don't miss Deal or No Deal, Celebrity, South Africa. Saturdays at 6 p.m. on SABC 1. Mzansi for sure.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
Right, let's take 1 or 2 voice notes and then I'll go to calls from Eunice and someone called Tom Cruise in Hollywood.
Good morning, Thulasizwe and the listeners of SFM. Thulasizwe, electricity nowadays is more expensive than our fiber, Wi-Fi, datas nowadays. Even though we use gas stoves, gas heaters will be more influenced to use illegal connection because we can't afford it anymore. Pranma by Projectland.
In fact, someone said that many families are now faced with a choice of between bread and electricity. Which one do you buy? Because it has come down to that. And I think it's over a period of time that this has become a big crisis, the affordability of electricity. You don't see it. It sneaks in. It's a tariff hike here, a tariff hike there. You know, we protest, we complain, and then we settle down. What's that I was saying? Stoic. Keep calm and carry on. But before you know it, over a period of some 5-6 years, we are at the point where we are right now, where it has simply become really, really expensive for many people.
Good morning, Thulasizwe Simelane. Do you know what it means when the politicians say we're still going to investigate? It simply means that they are asking time to fabricate a story that will convince you and us, the public. That's all.
All right, thank you for that. And I think that's in response to what we were talking about coming out of KwaZulu-Natal, where the Premier Taminduli is talking about 2 MECs implicated in various allegations to write to him and explain and give their side of the story. Of course, the standard line there, as well as from the ANC in KZN, being that let's allow processes, due process and investigations to take place about the wrongdoing or otherwise of those implicated MECs. Eunice and Joburg, good morning to you. You want to talk about the Nobel Peace Prize. Why is that on your mind?
Yes, Thulasizwe. Look, it boggles the mind when a war criminal like Benjamin Netanyahu was wanted by the ICC for the genocide that's occurring in the Gaza Strip. You know, he nominates his fellow comrade in arms, Donald Trump, for that award. Now, you know, Donald Trump, let's put things in perspective here. He attacked Iran. He's killed hundreds of Houthis in Yemen by bombing Yemen. Mm-hmm. So what constitutes him getting the Nobel, being awarded the Nobel Peace Prize? I mean, if you look at what's happening in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, every time there's a veto, there's a resolution passed at the United Nations, it's the Americans that are vetoing it. It's American weaponry that is used by the Israelis to kill the Palestinians. For yesterday on your news, you had the IDF, for example, saying there's no starvation there. Pictures coming out of the Gaza Strip, even the right-wing newspaper in the UK, the Daily Express, had a photograph on the front page of a child, a starving child, and they say, for pity's sake, stop this. Now, really, for this man to be awarded this, it boggles the mind. I would say
I missed the story, Yunus. Are you saying Benjamin Netanyahu has nominated Donald Trump for that? The last time I checked, it was out of the U.S. itself. Someone was framing some kind of resolution that says he should be nominated.
Well, Benjamin Netanyahu said that, Trump should be awarded this Nobel Peace Prize. So in my opinion, a worthy recipient of this award would be Francesca Albanese, the United Nations Special Rapporteur for the occupied territory. Now, here's a lawyer. She's given reports of what's happening in the Gaza Strip. She's now been sanctioned by the very same United States. Marco Rubio has sanctioned her, and included in there, Thulasizwe, is our own Navi Pillay and others who are now resigning because they are being targeted for sanctions on them.
All right, Eunice, let's leave it there for this morning. I've got to move on very quickly, Eunice.
All right, thanks.
We can pick it up another time. Thank you. That's Eunice in Joburg. Let me go to someone called Tom Cruise, who says they are in Hollywood. Where else? Good morning to you, Tom Cruise. Talk to me.
Morning to us. I just didn't want to say I'm anonymous, so I'm giving you a...
I know. That works for me. Please go ahead.
Yes. So just two quick points. I think the first point is just that with the government and this electricity hikes that they are sneaking in. I love how you put it, that they sneak these things in other ways, and it will definitely cause. I was thinking the coup de grace is a far-fetched idea, but I'm seeing that it will definitely get there at one point or another, because what's the root of all evil at the end of the day? It will be hunger, guys. So if you instill this on your people, you'll definitely get anarchy at one point. There's no other way about it.
Yeah.
That I had a hypothesis, like who stands to gain the most when the health industry is not working at its optimum best?
The private sector, is it?
Yeah. Who exactly? The medical aid guys, right?
Yeah.
The medicine guys. So if someone were to probe deep enough, I think they would find the ties that are showing who's sabotaging our medical industry. But that's just a hypothesis. I think someone can shed light on that. But that's what I think.
Thank you for that. I love your turn of phrase. You talk about a coup de grace.
Yes, definitely.
Right. Tom Cruise in Hollywood. Thank you for that call this morning.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
All right, let's take a few more of your voice notes. Let me go back to this one. I think this person, I think I took that one. Let me take this one that has to do with Jacinta Ngobese Zuma. We spoke to her earlier on about the non-renewal of her contract with Vuma FM, as well as her demand for the ANC to retract a statement that doesn't sit well with her by mentioning her name.
Morning to us. Why Ngobese and his attorneys cannot take their matter to Nomagu? They approach the ANC, or they fear that lady there. Why? If indeed the Nomagu has instructed Vuma to terminate the contract of that woman, why they cannot take on Nomagu? They approach the ANC, which is a wrong decision, by the way. I thank you, Bijan Kundazo.
Trustees, I'm not surprised about what happened at Vuma FM concerning Nomakuku Simelane and that lady. Even Mahopeni, Patito Mahopeni, lost his job because of Mbalula from ANC.
All right, thank you for those. Just alluding to that situation in KZN. It's always important, of course, to always highlight that the allegation that the MEC Nomagugu Simelane was instrumental in ensuring that Vuma FM either terminates or does not renew the contract of Jacinta Ngobese Zuma. That allegation has been denied by the MEC herself in a statement, but also by Vuma FM, who are saying actually there was no external consideration in the decision. The decision was purely one that was made internally, and they're saying that she was an independent contractor and those contracts are reviewed yearly, and the decision was taken internally, considering only internal factors. So the truth is somewhere. What's that they used to say? The truth is out there, as they used to say in the X-Files. Very quickly, I just think that the allegation, if it entails that the MEC went to the station, I imagine that must be easier to prove. That did she or did she not go on a particular day, hold a meeting with anyone from there? If it's said to have been in writing, where's the paper trail? It should be possible. I just think that it's not an impossible allegation to investigate. But let's see what Premier Tamintuli comes up with, having received the explanations from both MECs that are implicated in various issues in KZN.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Heavy delays, northern parts of northern parts of Joburg in the four-ways area for a Friday. We started on the N1 North with a crash before Malabongwe, so that's a delay coming up from Bayers Nordia. And then the lights are out on Winnie Mandela at Sloane, so that causes delays coming out of four-ways to cross the highway bridge, and that ripples back onto the highway because the bridge is so congested. That traffic just cannot flow off the N1. So southbound, you're sitting in a queue coming down from Sunning Hill northbound after the crash delays at Randburg. You're going to sit up to the Winnie Mandela off-ramp as well. So very heavy congestion there. Also big traffic on the main road. If you're coming in from Kyalami and you normally go through via sort of Lone Hill down towards Magalisak on your way to Bryanston, probably a good idea to avoid that. There's a big operation just after the Vidkoppen Road. So main road backed heavily right back beyond Yatske River Bridge, and Vidkoppen Road, because of all the delays in four ways and that traffic on main road, is quite heavy both ways as well. The N3 North up to Buccleuch stays busy with a crash, and there's been another crash on the Mike 1 North near Oxford Road. So coming up through Crown, that stays pretty heavily backed up. Durban on your way to the airport, a collision between Umhlanga and Sobaya, the N2 North queuing up. N3 Durban bound at Key Ridge now looking slow. Cape Town side, the elevated freeway conjunction of the N1 and N2. Some unusual traffic going on there. The N1 from Woodstock, the N2 from halfway back towards Hospital Bend. Both of those highways into the elevated freeway and city centre are very busy. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
When they walk on the pitch, both teams will believe they will triumph, but reality kicks in during 90 minutes of action. Who will dance to victory between UJ ladies and First Touch ladies? This is the Hollywood Best Super League. Witness Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game. UJ ladies versus First Touch ladies on Sunday 27 July at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC 1 and at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Also available on SABC radio stations at 3 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
James, congrats on the babies.
Yeah, thanks. It's a wild ride.
You're a new dad, 2 babies, 0 sleep, and 1 car that apparently couldn't cope.
Yeah, the hatchback was my baby, but it just didn't have enough space for my 2 new babies.
And are you happy with the price when you sold to WeBuy Cars?
Very. We've even got some extra cash to splurge on one of those fancy prams that you basically need a license for.
Good luck, James. WeBuy Cars. Geared for family, geared for you.
It's season 2 and the stakes are even higher. This time, South Africa's favorite stars are back at the briefcase, playing for charities close to home and close to the heart. Big names, big hearts, and big deals. Don't miss Deal or No Deal Celebrity South Africa. Saturdays at 6 p.m. on SABC 1. Mzansi for sure.
Thulasizwe Simelane is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
All right, just before we go, let's reflect on a story that really was of concern, that remains of concern, the issue around the availability of firearms in the country. The recent mass shooting at a tavern in Shoba informal settlement that is in Olivenhout Bosch, where 5 people lost their lives and 3 others were injured, has once again thrust the country's gun violence crisis into the national spotlight. As experts call for urgent reforms, it has become increasingly clear that unless the country addresses the root causes of illegal firearm circulation and bolsters its failing intelligence and law enforcement systems, the scourge of brutal mass shootings will only continue to escalate. Let's bring in Calvin Rafadi, who is crime and security expert, who joins us now. Calvin, good morning, and thank you for your time. What's your best explanation if someone were to ask you, why do we have so many firearms and why is the firearm the number one leading cause of fatalities quarter after quarter when we receive the crime stats? What would be your best explanation?
Good morning, Thulas, and good morning to the SAFM listeners. Yes, indeed, there are many guns in the wrong hands of the criminals, and some are high on drugs, and some they abuse alcohol. But at the same time, there's a lot of recruitment that takes place in, awarding this particular firearms for issues like, your gun, your drug thefts, and then hijacking of vehicles. So it's one of the most fundamental tools that the criminals they use to get away with crime and to even harm our people. So once again, our communities are at siege.
But why, Calvin, do we continue to have that proliferation when on a daily basis we are told about operations that are retrieving firearms, Operation Chanela, for example, almost on a daily basis? It would appear to me that this suggests an endless supply, that no matter how many you capture and destroy, the supply has not been closed, the supply point.
Yes, definitely. The supply is too high. And we also believe that in Western Cape, there are even homemade guns that are given to the underage to fight for theft. But at the same time, because of the border spotters, most of the automatic rifles, including hand grenades and other explosives that bomb the ATMs and the Zamazamas are using it underground, it really plays a very serious concern. But at the same time, again, we're saying that Operation Chanela, which does the good work, it only operates from Thursday up to Sunday. So the criminals, they are very much aware of that. And that's why, again, we're going to resend the letter now to the new minister who's coming in to say, Prof, can we not consider state of emergency? We bring the external force as a force multiplier, the army, then we go on the ground and root out this particular guns. Because we also realize that even on the gun amnesty, where, criminals should surrender firearms and those who are having legal firearms but are not safely kept. Those people, they don't bring those firearms, especially the criminals, because even they believe that they perform certain rituals on these guns and then they become their trusted tools. That's why you see even on the recent news, one gun has killed multiple people. It's because of certain rituals are performed, the gun is safely kept. Once there's a hit on someone, they take a particular gun, they go and commit crimes.
Yeah, and you're alluding to that case related to DJ Somebody and the people that have been arrested there, that firearm involved there had been involved in another shooting and the killing of another person. So tell me, this approach that you are advocating for in the letter that you are sending to the minister, is it more leaning towards a boots on the ground, quote unquote, saturation approach, go into communities and retrieve firearms, as opposed to, we've always had this emphasis that says it should be intelligence driven. So you only go on the boots on the ground saturation approach once you've followed intelligence. Is it a balance between the two, or is it one of the two?
Yeah, so basically, if we speak of crime intelligence, for now, one, I can call it that we are crying over spilled milk. They are the ones who are supposed to be proactive. But besides the budget being cut, they had so many so-called safe houses in the townships and villages where they can collect data on who are the gun owners that are committing certain robberies. But after the budget was cut, they had to close down all those homes. Now, again, what we are saying is that let's have more boots on the ground, but with force multiplier, meaning private securities who are properly registered with SIRA, meaning the army. We go and do the stop and search. We go and search even premises at hotspot areas to root out the guns, including in the hostels. Because most of the guns, even in the hostels, some are even legal, but they are not safely kept. Another worrying factor is that the reason why some of the legal guns are a problem is because of people buy a so-called Coca-Cola during the time when they do the application of a particular gun just to keep themselves safe. But they pay a fee, and so that the police don't come and inspect if they've got a safe at their premises. So most people, they even have legal firearms, but the procedure was not properly followed. So let's go and get those guns off the streets, and then we will have, the community at peace.
Yeah, so that talks to that nexus between firearms that are licensed that end up being illegal firearms. Is that what you are talking to very briefly?
Yes, definitely. So most of the homes, they are robbed, guns are taken. Some of those homes, there's break-ins. But at the same time, even though legal firearms, there's a procedure that a gun should be safely kept in those homes. And some of these owners, they are not even keeping those firearms safely. They end up causing serious damage and harm. Another worrying issue is that in Seshogo, if you heard, I think last week, there's a boy who's 6 years old, Mpaka, who was killed from a stray bullet. And one can say that the communities never even heard the sound of that particular firearm. But we believe around the area there's a hunting range around that particular area. Right. And one can say that 800 meters, if you shoot a hunting rifle, maybe a 308, that also uses a R1 or AK bullet, it can, have a very serious effect to that distance.
Yeah, I'm completely out of time. Thank you for your time and your insights this morning. That's Kelvin Rafadi, who is crime and security expert. That's it really from us. That's our full and final account to you in lieu of your morning brief. The Talking Point with Kathy Motlatlana is up next after the news with Ann Musa. I'm Thulasizwe Simelane, and you've been briefed.
In our top stories, Gauteng parents encouraged to ensure online school applications completed, and EFF to celebrate 12th anniversary in Khayelitsha. Good morning. The Gauteng Education Department has advised parents who may experience glitches when applying for grade 1 and 8 school admissions not to leave the page without completing their applications. The department says failure to submit complete applications will result in learners not getting school placements on time. The department has launched the 2026 schools online admission system, with applications closing on the 29th of next month. The department spokesperson, Steve Mabona.
We've realized that some parents will be in the system, and when they're about to upload documents, probably they cannot do that. They need to refresh. Just refresh the page and you should be in a position to do that. And make sure that you complete the process. Don't leave the system if you are not done, because that is going to be an incomplete application. And once we have an incomplete application, come the placement period in October on the 16th, we will not consider you as a parent.
The Motherwell Magistrates Court in the Eastern Cape has denied bail to a pastor accused of the kidnapping and murder of his 12-year-old relative, Litali Ntini. Sonwabo Ngaye first appeared in court last month, charged with premeditated murder, kidnapping and obstructing the cause of justice. The burnt body of the 12-year-old girl was discovered in an open field in Motherwell days after she had been reported missing. The NPA's regional spokesperson, Luxolo Kyali, says the state opposed bail.
Now that